Yo, what is up, everyone? We are live, and this is FSP. Oh man, I don't even know what we're on episode number 105.
105.
This is like been a whirlwind of a weekend. And it's kind of like just still setting in. We're all kind of like processing everything we've seen over the last few days, because there's been a lot of stuff. And even if you take out the Xbox showcase, there was still a lot of things, right? But you jam-pack that Xbox showcase in the middle of there with everything that they showed, and it's just almost impossible to like process each and everything, how awesome that was, and give it its full justice, right? So we're going to try and do our best with that, kind of breaking down what our favorite things was over the last couple days. And it's awesome to have Fuzzy here because he's been gone. It's awesome to have Bob here because he's been busy. 3-Bit was gone except for Sunday, yesterday for the showcase. So it's kind of like a little bit of a, hey, we got a reunion here to kind of catch up and see how everybody thought. And it's awesome to have you guys here. Awesome for the chat, everybody who's ended up watching any of our co-streams, for all of the coverage. Appreciate you guys, because I know you could watch anywhere if you chose to watch with us. Super appreciate it. But let's get into some intros here and have some fun, man. Bob, dude, Game Pass dad, past blue ribbon, what's up?
Oh, not much. I'm super excited to be back. I'm sad that I haven't been able to be around as much podcasting, but reinvigorated by this showcase, I have to say. And you guys have been killing it with all the coverage this weekend. Mav, like I've been tuning in whenever I can, like seeing the chat all showing up for the co-streams and everything. And 3-Bit, congratulations as well, and good to see you, Fuzzy, also. And just excited to chat about this thing that we're all excited about. And I'm like, not that I haven't been on board, but it's just like seeing this come to fruition, and like seeing this is like the first step through the door of like the plans have been laid, and now Microsoft can actually bring these games to Game Pass is like really becoming a reality that I don't feel like we've had a chance to really enjoy yet. And now it's like starting to happen. So if they can land this plane, like we're gonna be eating good for a long time. So it's exciting to think about and talk about for sure.
Yeah, man. It's like what we were talking about is like they gotta just lay it all out there to make it so obvious to people that they can't ignore it anymore, right? Now the second part, yeah, they gotta deliver on everything still. The game's gotta come out, they gotta be good, but that's the case with every game for every publisher, every platform. And at the end of the day, you want to generate that hype and excitement of what's to come for the brand, because that generates that like, okay, this is a kind of an interesting thing they got going on here. And it seems like that was ignored by many for a long time, you know? So, but yeah, they're hitting the ground running now, and there's no ignoring that train. That's for sure. Choo choo, according to the Indiana Jones villain. Oh, you got the FS hat. Nice, dude.
I switched hats. You called out the Paps hat, so I put on the right hat.
No, it's all right. I like the Paps hat. It's a good hat.
I'm laying I'm
gotta get
laying down the FSP's hat the way that Microsoft should be laying down their excitement to bring great games to the industry because people just don't understand what's going on quite yet.
Yeah, this is no Versace hat, like 3-Bit's Versace hats and stuff, but he's wearing his asshole hat today. So what's up, 3-Bit? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. I couldn't find my Versace hat. I just moved, so
Yeah, you don't want to lose a Versace hat.
How many Kangolds do you own?
Nah, dude, it's been such a long week. I long good week. I've been gone for like a week or two. So, and then right after the wedding, and then went straight to vacation, and then right after vacation, as soon as I got back, it was the Xbox showcase. I'm like, goodness. But it's been good, man. The Xbox showcase was way like I knew it was gonna be good, but it was like it exceeded whatever I even thought. My expectations, whatever it was before, like we were all hyped for the showcase. People kept telling us to temper our expectations, and we're like, no, look what Xbox has in the roadmap, and people kept telling us to temper it, and look at them now. This is such a good showcase. We're gonna get into it, what our expectations and stuff were, but great show. It was fun being on the show with my brothers here, and I get to be with Fuzzy again. Me and Fuzz been gone for a minute, so glad I get to do it here with Fuzz and Game Pass Dad. I don't think I get to podcast with him enough, so this is gonna be overall. I'm excited to hear everybody's opinions about the Xbox showcase, and let's get it rolling, man. It's gonna be a good show.
And shout out to Psycho, who's still working through PC problems, and I think he's actually working right now. But once he got back from Dave Matthews Band, his like PC was like, this is enough. I can't take any more Dave Matthews songs. Nothing more. Like it's just I'm quitting. Fuzz,
it's like my job is done.
You spent the showcase at a zombie mall.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been bouncing around all weekend. Went out to Monroeville, out near Pittsburgh area, where the Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead was filmed, and went to like their horror con and got some pictures and autographs and stuff I've yet to even post yet, but had fun there. And then the wife surprised me for Sunday morning, and I'm like thinking, all right, we can probably get back in time for the showcase. She's like, no, we got one more place to stop. So we went to Altoona. I forget the name of the mall or the convention center that was there, but they had like the sci-fi con, but instead of it being more sci-fi, they had some video game personalities there, and they had Michael and Franklin or Ned Luke and Sean Fantino over at Fantino over at the convention. So I got some pictures with them and autographs and things like that. They even had the like cast from like Futurama. They had cast from or also from other video games like Red Dead Redemption there as well, but mainly want to get those guys because I've played far more GTA 5 than I have any of the Red Deads. But man, had fun, and then listened to you guys on the way home Sunday. Didn't really get to look at my phone because yes, I'm driving, but yeah, wound up watching the showcase afterwards. Caught the Ubisoft one earlier today, and the Summer Games Fest, which was pretty much at this point the low point of all of these showcases, which is kind of wild. But man, Sunday was a great day, like all around, and not because of the GTA stuff, but that showcase. Xbox definitely delivered. They came through and surprised the heck out of us with what they started with and what they finished with.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I'm so glad.
And everything in the middle, like what they started with and what they finished with, and every single thing in between, man. Yeah, while we're all nerding out over the games, you're out there touching grass and doing what we all should be doing. And it was awesome to hear that you got to do all that stuff, though, man. And yeah, it's been crazy. I think there's been an interesting like last week because you got like State of Play, and then you had the Summer Game Fest. You had the Xbox Showcase. You had the other smaller shows too, like you had like the Wholesome Direct. You had the like Latin Creators show, different things like that, and they all had little things. You had the Devolver show, which I thought was pretty good, right? But nothing showed up or showed out anywhere near like what the Xbox Showcase did, and it's pretty much become the event of Summer Showcase season. Keeley's tried to make his thing the event of Summer Showcase season. Like it's he's like, I'm the new E3, you know. Meanwhile, IGN's trying to do their thing too with IGN Live, and they got their stuff going on. Which shout out to all the creators that were there hanging out with the IGN people and stuff like that doing. They seemed like they had some cool stuff there that people were taking part of. So some cool demos, good presentations, and all that stuff. So I got to give them credit where credit's due, even if some of their people that work for them are asshats. But
it does suck that Sony did, like, they were the start of leaving E3, and then all these other companies.
Well, Nintendo first. So we could
Was
put
Nintendo first?
Yeah, Nintendo switched to Nintendo Direct before anybody else. Then Sony abandoned shit.
So Nintendo created that model, and then Sony's like, ooh, and then eventually everyone left.
Yeah,
oh,
so
man.
Nintendo, it kind of went in order, bing bang boom, like because it was like maybe a year or two after Nintendo left that Sony started doing their own things, right? The interesting thing with Sony though is they're not really even doing showcases.
No, they're doing
like
these state of plays.
Pretty much just state of plays. Last year they did a showcase. They called it actually a showcase, right? So it was the first real showcase from Sony in a while. But it was worse than most of their state of plays.
Yeah.
And this year's state of play, which is they're billing as like their bigger state of play, closer to showcase season, was one of the worst we've ever seen as well. Like it just, I don't really. Sony's lost the ability to have like big, great summer showings. And maybe it's because they just don't have the games in development because they've been dicking around so much trying to figure out games as service stuff for so long that they really haven't had much to show, you know? And I was talking to Nerd Propellant, who's an awesome person in the community. We were talking to DMs and stuff, and he actually went and did the math and the breakdowns. And from actually in-house developers, right, at Sony, there's only been one single-player big title tentpole game reveal in the last 2.5 years, and that's Wolverine.
Yep.
And that's the games that they went up there and said just recently that those are the ones that matter the most. Yet in 2.5 years they haven't announced a new one, right? So it's just crazy. And we've been talking about this kind of stuff for a long time, but like they're selling that's their identity. That's what they've always been about. Yet they're not revealing and announcing games in that regard, you know? So they're in an interesting place. They're doing one thing, saying another, right? But overall, if they had the goods, they would be showing it to generate hype and excitement and sell more consoles and all that. So there's still some hope. Maybe they have a showcase later this year if they do announce the PS5 Pro. If that's a real thing, that they have awesome stuff to show for some kind of a roadmap for it, right?
Otherwise, their launch games is going to be Horizon, the Lego game, and Astrobot to show off the power of the PS5 Pro.
Right. Which Lego Horizon can play on this.
I don't even need to say anything more than that.
Yeah.
but
it's the reality, right? Shout out to the chat. You guys all rock. We do have a $5 super chat from Alvin. It says, the next insider that woofs about an Xbox game in development at hell is getting nuked on Twitter. Hammer of Dawn style. Yes, let's go.
Yep.
Find the Hammer of Dawn.
They were saying that during Fable when we were working on Fable. I was like, we are? I think we're fine.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like we're doing pretty good.
It's like
rumors are gonna rumor.
Someone's friends with someone who's a developer at one of these studios and like, man, I had a hard day at work. And they take to Twitter. Development hell at Playground Games.
I spilled coffee on my keyboard.
My boss got angry at me yesterday because I messed up. Like, Fable is doomed.
It's like these rumors, man. It's just, it's interesting. Every single news cycle. That's something that I'm finding interesting. Something we were just talking about in the green room. That this showcase was so good that even mainstream media was just like, okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
was a good show. Which is cool to see.
Yeah.
Very cool to see.
You just really can't ignore it, right? Let's get into like some of the other stuff that we saw first. Was everybody here able to watch Summer Game Fest?
I didn't even.
You didn't even care to go back and watch it? Or?
I caught a chunk of it.
Yeah. Was there anything there that was like stood out to you guys as exciting or new, or it just kind of watched it to get? I can't honestly. I'm trying to process back in my brain what was at Summer Game Fest. I can't remember a damn thing.
I think the biggest thing was that precinct game, which was like a cop simulator.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was almost like an old school GTA.
Yeah.
With a top-down 3D perspective kind of deal. It looked kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the although I didn't like the first half of it, but what was it? Delta Force. Now the first half looked like it was kind of a knockoff of like Ghost Recon. Some of the enemies had like neon weapons or something, which looked weird. But the whole Black Hawk Down part, that stood out to me. So that was like
that looked pretty sick.
Jasper was making comments in the chat when that was going on and comparing it to Crossfire X, because like Crossfire X had that good-looking campaign that everybody was getting excited for, and then they had like this trash-ass multiplayer that was just garbage, right? And then the game came out, and it was like it launched in a weird way. It was supposed to be in Game Pass, it wasn't actually in Game Pass. You was having trouble accessing the campaign. And then when they finally did it, it was released in like chapters, and it was only a portion of the campaign that was in Game Pass or something. And everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Then and then some people actually liked it, but majority like hated it. But it looked always really impressive visually and stuff in these trailers. And like when Jasper said that, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be another Crossfire X situation with that game?" But maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be good. You know, who knows.
That was like exactly what came to mind for me, especially because it has like that branded like Black Hawk Down single player campaign.
Right.
Like that's either going to be really cool or just like kind of dumb. I'm not sure. I don't think it's really going to be in the middle,
though, right?
Yeah, like, it's interesting. I don't know if I want to like, because I think the multiplayer is free to play though. It's got like a convoluted scheme like Crossfire X though too. So it's kind of, I think they said that the branded licensed Black Hawk Down storyline, which why would you even bother necessarily like licensing a storyline from a movie that's that old? Like, because I don't think anyone's necessarily gonna play it so they can relive Black Hawk Down necessarily. Like, you could probably tell a better less. I don't know. I feel like it's even a little bit controversial. Even like you could probably tell a better like made up story instead of being like, all right, we're gonna do Black Hawk Down. But that one definitely caught my eye because it did have like the old school like Rainbow Six or like Ghost Recon vibes for sure, like somewhere in the middle. Dark and Darker was one that really I think they showed it, but it says that they showed it. I don't remember necessarily seeing it, but that's one that I've been playing actually on Steam. Like that game's like Dungeons and Dragons Tarkov kind of. It's really interesting.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was kind of like old school graphics kind of, right?
Yeah, the graphics got an update though cuz it was in it was in a playtest last year for Next Fest on Steam. But there was a Nexon like had a legal dispute with the developer saying that they stole the IP from them, but it doesn't seem like they actually, because I think they used to work for Nexon and then they left to make their own game, and like they filed a lawsuit saying that they stole everything, but it doesn't seem like it held up. But it's technically free to play for like the beginning portions of the game. Like there was kind of a mix up and some backlash on that, but they actually made it so you can get your loot and go into like the high roller dungeons without buying anything. But it's been really fun so far without paying for. So that's one that I might end up buying currently. And then I don't know, that Killer Bean game looked pretty cool, but kind of weird.
And
it looks like
I call it the chicken.
Oh, they
nugget.
showed Killer Bean there.
Yeah, the chicken nugget game, because they were the beans look like You remember at McDonald's we used to have the nuggets that you
Yeah,
like that
it looks
had
like a McDonald's
yeah,
game. Yeah.
it looks like the McNuggets that had clothes back in the day, you
I've been
know?
following that guy for so long, like since I started my YouTube account when YouTube basically started. Like he he's just one animator guy, and he's like one day he's like, "Hey, let me make a game instead of
You
instead
gotta
of
love that.
yeah, super cool. Super cool developer, animator, just one talented guy who just
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen the Summer Game Fest, but I've been following like his work for a while, and he's cool dude.
Yeah.
Cool dude.
It looked
Yep.
interesting and fun. It kind of like that what was the retro style Battlefield game that came out last year? Bit something.
Oh, Battle Bit.
Oh, Battle
Bit.
Bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like Minecraft Battlefield.
right. It's kind of like this could be like the GTA like McNugget game or
Mhm.
whatever to like
Yeah,
Battle
it could
Bit's
be.
Battlefield. like I don't know, but we'll see what happens with that game, man.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. It's
Yeah,
cool.
the Power Rangers game was announced. That one
Yeah.
was pretty cool. I
It looks
think.
like
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was before I change the subject. Power Rangers.
Yeah, no, Power Rangers was great. I was gonna I think the biggest news was probably the Lego Horizon game at
Mhm.
the start of the show, and then it announced that it was coming to Switch also because that's like Horizon. That's like their IP.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
Makes
you
sense.
know, if it has to run on Switch, it's also going to hold back the PlayStation version. Everyone knows that.
It is strange that they're releasing it on Switch but not PlayStation 4.
And PC, but not Xbox. But
Yeah.
PC is an
Yeah.
Xbox, so we got them.
That's pretty much right. It'll be on Steam for sure.
I know.
So
I think one of the biggest announcements though is probably Valorant for console though,
Yeah.
too. That's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
that's the big deal, and the Game Pass deal for that is going to be transfer over to console as well. So
I mean, yeah, if console players start getting into Valorant, like that saves you so much money. Like Valorant, like if you think microtransactions are bad, Valorant microtransactions are some of the most ridiculous microtransactions. Like their battle pass is like reasonably priced, but if you buy like the actual like characters and the guns and stuff like that, like they have packs for guns that are like $250 like every like 90 to 180 days. Like
Wow.
it's stupid. But like even
it sounds
you can
reasonable.
play.
Sounds really reasonable.
Yeah, I mean people buy it though. Like it's a giant esport though. Like that's like a Apex size, like FIFA size, like game that there's a gigantic market of people that don't have access to. So the fact that it's coming to console and Microsoft was strategic enough to make that agreement with them to bring that benefit to Game Pass, that could be a pretty big deal, honestly, in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that I wonder if like after the Lego Horizon game, if that becomes like Sony's thing, because maybe they could tackle other franchises. I can't picture a Lego Last of Us. That's a little too dark.
It's already in the works, brother.
They probably,
That
hey,
would
what
be-
if this is just the first of many of those games?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's how they start expanding some of their IPs. Like they're doing remasters and remakes. This is just another way that they can just keep pushing that remake remaster button without actually doing it, but doing the Lego version of that.
That's right. We're gonna take it straight to the ground with Lego.
If that is the case, what franchises do you guys think they'll go for? If they decide to go, let's do Lego for some of our franchises.
Oh,
do
God
you
of
guys think?
War, God of War, and The Last of Us, and Uncharted.
I mean, I'd really like to see a pony tamer Lego. Like, I know that would make Mav happy. Like,
Yeah, that absolutely. That probably
Freaking
already
with you.
exists though.
One got
Yeah.
canceled. Yeah.
Remastered though.
they'll probably
Make a Lego
do
version of the remastered
PS VR Lego too. You know.
one.
Definitely can't do the old God of Wars because it'll be a lot of just ripping bricks, the Lego bricks. arms apart and things like
Mhm.
that.
One thing I was watching these shows this past weekend, kept thinking to myself about Concord every time we saw a new 5v5 hero shooter get announced.
Oh man, that's the new meme this year.
Like
And all
it's
the ones are free to play.
they're all free to play,
Mhm.
man, and they're gonna try and sell that for $40. I just don't know. I mean, it's got to be amazing because there was so many other ones that look really good that are coming out soon,
Yeah,
and for
or
them
at
to
least
have
equally
that,
as good.
yeah. I mean, maybe it's just gonna come out and be fine or whatever, and they aren't having crazy huge expectations. But like, I have a
I
feeling that they have big expectations for this game.
I th- I think the problem with it though is it does have a novel feature with like the fact that they're gonna have like the cinematics, like the story, like week after week that they're gonna have the story moving through. But the thing is, it's like an online multiplayer game. Like people don't play online multiplayer games for the story, and like I mean, arguably, like a game like Overwatch, like it's always cool when you see like the cinematics and the story,
Mhm.
and I always wish for like more of that. But I don't necessarily think it's enough to carry that game when the other like hero shooters that we're seeing like coming out, like we got like Mecha Break, like is a mech hero shooter.
Mhm.
We've got that Frag Punk game, which like
The
each
card-based one,
player
yeah.
can do different cards for different rules. Like those games actually seem like they're changing the dynamic and like adding something different to it. And like Concord looks pretty, like the graphics look decent, but like at the same time it's like Guardians of the Galaxy meets Overwatch meets Star Wars, like meets who knows what, but it just doesn't feel fresh and like doesn't seem like it actually moves the ball forward. So it has a lot stacked against
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll
Oh,
be
and the
interesting.
$40 price tag. Sorry.
I mean, it's just got to be that much better than everything else to justify having a price tag to be in that
Yeah.
space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are people already playing those other ones that are into that genre. You know?
Right.
Yeah, that was my main problem with it. Like, it looked like a decent arena type shooter, but
Yeah.
if you're doing an arena shooter, you're competing in a space where there are really good ones that have been cemented already. And
Well,
being
this one's
live
primarily on PlayStation.
And Valorant also. I mean, Valorant is massive,
yeah.
right? And it's coming to console now. So like,
Mhm.
it's literally Valorant. What's more likely for people to dive into? Spend $40 on Concord or play Valorant, which has been one of the biggest games over the last several years now. Right?
Mhm. Valorant.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that there's probably a lot of people out there, a lot of console players that have friends, like especially like in the streaming space, like younger kids, like everybody plays Valorant. Like it's crazy. Like
they're probably
men, women. What's that 3-bit?
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to cut you off again. I'm sorry.
I cut you off.
No, it's like there's like a really diverse group of people. Like if you think of any game like compared to like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, like any other game out there, like for a shooter, like Valorant really does have a super broad like player base, and it is really big with like kids and like younger people who are growing up with consoles. And I guarantee you there's plenty of them that would love to be playing, like who just haven't had a chance to play Valorant yet. And it really is a big deal, and I think it's going to be pretty impactful on consoles if they do it right. So
Yeah.
which I mean, with what I was saying before, like Xbox making that deal, like I could possibly see, because you could literally, the cost of instantly unlocking all those characters, I think is a pretty hefty sum towards, like I should look it up because that's probably a pretty hefty sum towards the price of buying an Xbox even.
Oh, I think if you add all the stuff that
Yeah.
you get for Game Pass up, it's probably like over the hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, let me
I think
look
it's
it up.
more like
I think it's like
more.
$200 at least.
I do
For all the
wonder
characters
if
plus, like it's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Valorant, that's a great thing that they're doing with Game Pass. I do wonder if with Concord why they are pricing it at $40 is because of the success of Helldivers. Like you pay for Helldivers and they're like, oh, we could do that, we could replicate that again, but it's I don't know. If you're jumping into this specific kind of genre where it is free to play in a lot of different cases and you're going to a saturated market, it in my opinion would just work better if it's free to play and then you incentivize people with the skins or the loot boxes or battle pass, whatever you want to do there. But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see how people receive it. Like right now, a lot of people are saying, even on the PlayStation side, people are like, "Yeah, this looks generic. This I've seen this before like a million times." Or, to me, it looks like it could be fun, right? It looks like a solid. It looks generic. It does look generic, but it looks like I could have a fun time with it. It just unfortunately doesn't move the needle in any way.
There's
And
the needle comment again.
there's that
There's all
needle
these
thing that
needles.
people always
Yeah.
talk about. There's always a needle.
This needle's
But no,
moving
it's
everywhere.
people always talk about the needles. But in this specific genre, right, where
Yeah,
people are constantly trying to make arena shooters, there is
You
going
gotta
to be
find a place in the space, and
right.
you got like they're competing for time against games that are free that have established fan bases that are trying to pull people away from them. And I think it's gonna be hard to do, but we'll see. Maybe they can do it. It's just got to be that much better than everything else, because people will pay if it's that much better than everything else.
People are going to pay just because it's a PlayStation game. So
we'll see.
Just for that fact.
Well, a certain amount will. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I said that about Foam Stars, and we've seen how that turned out.
Oh yeah, that game never had a fucking chance, man. Like that game never had a chance in hell.
Yeah, which we predicted even before it came out.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the same. It's gonna be the same. I don't know.
Other game that was big there was Phantom Blade Zero. It had a good showing there. There was like three. There's starting to be this problem, right? Because you have all these like Eastern themed, like Souls-like looking games, right? And all this like Soulsy like combat with like they're out in the wilderness and the grass and like fighting these crazy looking monsters, and like I'm getting them all fucking confused now. Like there's just so many of them. Every showcase we see, there's like a new one. Even at the Xbox showcase, we got Fallen Feathers, right? The Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. I was like, cool, that looks awesome. Like it looks great. It's got me. But like I swear that same game I've seen 20 other times, like in this showcase season with different names. You got Wu Kang, the Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah.
You got Phantom Blade Zero. You got the Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. We just had Rise of the Ronin come out. Wu Shan. Yeah, sorry, I don't remember. Like there's so many damn games and I'm not saying they're not different. I'm just saying for me as like a viewer trying to remember these games and what's different about them, it's really hard for me because like I'm always seeing like basically the same camera angle, right? The same kind of style combat against crazy ass looking enemies, and I get them all mixed up in my fucking brain, dude. But Phantom Blade Zero was another one of those games, and I think it stood out a little bit. I don't think it had the same impact it had at its initial reveal. Because of its initial reveal, people were like, "What's this?" And this time, people were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, Phantom Blade Zero's here, yeah, awesome." But that was another PlayStation exclusive. But yeah, I think maybe the saturation in that genre right now is starting to temper the excitement of some of those games. I think it's because of the popularity of them. There's been so many that have been like created now and been.
It's like started. It makes me think about that arena. Base is it called the arena with the Battlefield developers? What's it called? It's like
what was it called? The finals.
The finals. So when they announced that, that's not really a hero shooter per se, but like when they announced it, it felt like kind of like refreshing to see when they first saw it. It's like, oh, that's pretty different as destructible environments and things like
Mhm.
that. Like, wow, and Battlefield, like people are kind of missing something from Battlefield. Um, as people weren't as happy with the last Battlefield, but they made some changes and stuff. So it was like it released at a good time. And I think with arena shooters specifically, if you're going to do an arena shooter, it has to have something that kind of brings it something new to the table. Because Overwatch was like kind of this. Actually, it wasn't even Overwatch that started. It was um the game that kind of was basically Battleborn, something like that. I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
was what it's called. Battleborn like started it, and then Overwatch just happened to release right next to it and look really similar. But then from there, people started figuring out how to do arena shooters like properly. Um, and ever since then, they've been creating like different subgenres of that. With like Valorant and the Apex Legends. It's like different shooter games that have kind of come from being inspired by one another. So I do wonder if when Concord comes out, if people can sort of separate that, like, okay, I can see it for what it is. It's let's just try it out, and people are receptive to it, or is like, oh, it's so much like other games. I will probably have a better time playing something like Valorant. It really could go either way. Just from me looking at the gameplay, and me looking at the trailers and stuff like that for Concord. Um, I mean, it doesn't it doesn't appeal to me really. Even though I love arena shooters and stuff, but as I watched the trailer, it was just like nothing. Like I was just like, oh, okay,
Well,
cool.
the trailer was
Um,
cool at the start when it was the Guardians of the Galaxy Sony version, right? And then
yeah,
it went to the gameplay, and it was like, oh, I've played this like 10 times before
right.
with different
So,
games,
but
different names. You
what
know?
I'm wondering is that if I actually play it, will I feel different? Um, which I
Maybe.
have before, but
Yeah.
it does feel it looks kind of generic, and I'm not super interested. But
Well, that it was
I'm,
kind of
I'm open.
interesting. Like you had those are three exclusives at what not really exclusive for Lego Horizon, but three exclusives at Summer Game Fest. You had Phantom Blade Zero, right? You had
Right.
Lego Horizon. Um, what was the other one? There was one more.
Astrobot,
But that was at State
right?
of Play. I think maybe I
Oh,
was thinking.
you're talking about that. Okay.
No, there was
Hmm.
another one at Summer Game Fest that I was remembering, but I can't. But anyway, if we just look at the middle two games, or the end and the beginning, Keeley ended and started his show pretty much with Sony games, right? Or games that are going to be on only PlayStation, and besides, I guess Lego Horizon is going to be on Switch also, but not on Xbox, right? Phantom Blade Zero and Lego Horizon. But like for me, like when I think Keely's audience is mainly like PlayStation type gamers and stuff like that, and like they hated his show. They rated it like a
Yep.
D, you know,
What
heavily.
what did
So
Xbox give it last year? Did
what
they give Keeley
for
much
Summer
last
Game
year?
Fest, I don't think they give them much for Summer Game Fest. They gave them stuff for the Game Awards, but I don't think much for
Okay.
Summer Game Fest. But
Okay.
like for the PlayStation audience that hated the State of Play, right? Because they rated it poorly. Then they hated the Keeley show, right? And he even end capped and began his show with mainly PlayStation type titles, and they still hated his show. What does that say about the way that those games are hitting for the audience when those are meant to be for them, right? Like it's just interesting, right? Like I don't think those games are hitting because Concord was the other one at State of Play too, right? So that was none of these games are like hitting for them right now. And it's because like what we said before, like they're not making the games that they've been trained to like. And now they're figuring out that oh shit, we're in this problem now because none of the stuff that we have is exciting our fan base, right? And even the deals they're making for exclusives and stuff like that. And we even found that Black Myth Wukong is by default an exclusive to PlayStation because it was delayed on Xbox, right? And it still didn't, for them, it's just like, okay. But again, I think it's like because of maybe since the first time we saw Black Myth Wukong, right? As opposed to today, there's a lot more games that are like that now that are keep getting announced and stuff. So like the excitement level for each one of these announcements is like, okay, yeah, this looks amazing, but it doesn't seem like as much. Just like the hero shooter genre. Like if you saw originally when some of these first started getting announced, right? You're like, oh, what's this? This looks amazing. But now there's like 5 announced every fucking year, you know? So it's like, oh, okay, another one of those, right? I'm not saying that there's not fans that get excited for every single one of these games that are super into the genres and stuff like that, and it's amazing. Just like I saw Steel in the chat asking about just like RTS is like, yeah, every RTS it gets announced, and I really got my eyes on it, right? And to somebody that's not as into those games might see them all and kind of just like, oh yeah, it's another RTS or whatever. But like for the excitement level, if we had a lot of games that had the same theme, same style, same kind of combat over and over and over again, even though there are differences, right? It does still temper the overall excitement, maybe that a brand new something can deliver to that. And I think that's kind of what's happened with some of these companies and just really trying to, okay, this is popular, so let's make that, right? This is popular, so let's make that. And it's in the indie community too. That's what we saw among a lot of this game's showcase season, is we saw a lot of games that are just like copy paste, make it different setting or different theme slightly, but we're going to take this game and make it something else. And it's kind of like this creative bankruptcy a little bit with just chasing the golden goose of what's been the most popular things. Like Elden Ring hit like crazy, so everybody's got to make their, you know, Soulsy like game now, or like this hit,
Yeah.
you know, this hit. Stardew Valley is crazy popular. So how many games do we see out there that are like look just like Stardew Valley, you know, and all this kind of stuff? And for me, it's like it's hard to get as excited for a lot of these announcements when they look good. Hey, these games look great, but we've already played it, you know.
Yeah.
So
But I feel like that's a thing that's happening within the industry itself. Like they feel like they have to chase these trends because we've seen how many layoffs there were when people try
chasing
to
trends is
do.
what causes you to have layoffs.
But people always,
Yeah.
I do agree with that. But people always say they want something different, and then when they do,
Right.
people always reject it. They don't actually buy it. That's very unfortunate to me because I love when developers try new things. They try to innovate and do different things. But people, what do people buy every year? They buy series titles. They buy franchise titles like Madden or Call of Duty or things like that. Like people say they want something different, but I don't know if they do. I don't know if they actually do. Like I definitely want the industry to evolve, and I feel like we'll start seeing that in different ways. Maybe like with features, like maybe we'll get similar like arena games, right? But maybe they'll try to push the envelope on like maybe AI, or maybe you get like
Please no. No.
yeah, just like different things like that. I feel like they'll use industry trends of what's popular, but maybe find ways to push that further. Like GTA 6, I'm sure. I mean, GTA 6 is probably going to be very similar to like 5, right? But where they're pushing the envelope is probably technology wise. I could see that more because whenever a developer tries something that's brand new, like I remember there's this indie game where someone takes a picture and then that picture becomes like a part of the level you're supposed to climb on. Like that was the most unique game I've ever seen. It probably didn't cross like 1 million sales. I haven't looked at it, but you know, just it can go either way though. Sometimes
Well,
that can drive
you
people
just
to.
gotta be that good or that interesting or that much better than everything else, you know what I mean, to really stand out in a lot of those spaces and games. And I see so many of
Yep.
these come out and they never make a splash, right? That had some hype or originally, but then sometimes, you know, like a game comes out and it's like takes off, you know. Something that was original and different was Helldivers, right? In the multiplayer
Yeah.
space.
Yep,
I think
true.
it was successful because it was that. If it would
Yeah.
came out and there was another hero shooter, maybe it wouldn't have been as successful, right? But then you have Like Jasper in the chat was saying, Pal World is pretty much like another survival game just with Pokemon characters, right?
Yep.
And that game goes out and takes
Yeah,
off.
but that's Pokemon where you can kill the Pokemon though.
Right.
So
I think
like,
that there's just enough
that
interesting
checks some
like
new boxes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta like it's gotta be familiar, but you gotta like use the technology like 3-bit said to like iterate and like move things ahead. But I was also gonna say that like Helldivers is like really the only thing that Sony has brought to us that is like new and unique, like in the last couple of years even.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like both like Xbox and PlayStation have gone through these cycles of like complacency where once they reach a certain level of success, they stop taking so many risks and they start trying to dictate what they want to sell to the customer. Like back in the Xbox One days, it was TV, 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 and less reliance on first party titles and investment there and moving to supporting like the third party business. And literally Microsoft has been clawing back over the last decade from that. And if you look at PlayStation, in my mind at least, like with the push on PSVR, the push on PlayStation Portal, the push on just having the most successful platform,
Live service games and stuff.
live service games, chasing those trends, not focusing on the games that like, or all the reiterations, the remasters. Like how many times has Last of Us been remastered at this point? Like the fact that they're not like bringing these new experiences, like they're falling into a similar trend that Xbox was in before. And like I remember thinking last year with like the announcement that Jim Ryan was leaving, that PlayStation like pulled the goalie, but like I didn't realize it was this bad, honestly.
Yeah.
It kind of flip flop
Yeah.
and what people are expecting, like kind of what Matt was saying, like they are very much chasing trends. Like there's a difference, right? When I said like people they tend to buy the same things over and over. Yes, that is true. But there also is the thing where people do want something new. They just want it. It needs to almost hit at the right time, in a way. Because if you guys remember what Fortnite was a horde game. Like that was pretty much just another horde. Now it's something completely different, but at that time that's what people was like really liking. So it's like a mixture of things that as a developer you probably got to hit. It's the right timing of things. And I think Sony right now, they are trying to chase that trend of figuring out live service games, because that's where you get your reoccurring revenue. You don't make a lot on console sales, but people are going to always talk about console sales. I know that they've changed some components in the PlayStation to try and make more of a profit. They put cheaper parts in the newer PlayStation models. So maybe they are making a little bit more profit, but it's still not like the end all be all. Where you really make money, where you always make money, it will always be your services, your games, your services, and that's where they are not making a lot of money, because a lot of their games are single player titles. You play the game, you're kind of done, and you're like, okay, well, cool, that was cool. And that's, you're not really incentivizing people to come back, but then at the same time you train your audience to believe like this is what you can expect out of PlayStation, like these single player experiences. So when people get a Foam Stars, that other game they made, some All-Star thing, when you get like these multiplayer games, people are just like, okay, this is just like, that's just like some filling or some dressing or something. Like I'll be waiting for the God of War, the Horizon, the Last of Us, things like that. So they really put themselves in a corner, and when they keep trying to do these live service games, they say it's weird. They're like half in, half out. Like Last of Us, what was supposed to come out with the factions, they kept pushing and pushing. Now it's gone. We had the potential to put multiplayer in Spider-Man, which again would have been so freaking cool, and an opportunity where you can be like, okay, Spider-Man 2, this is where this is different. This is a new, more ambitious experience. I could swing around the city with my friends. Cancel that. So and then they canceled a bunch of other live service games. So it's like they're trying to be in, but they don't want to take that financial incentive, and that's just because of where they are compared to Microsoft. Like, yes, they are the head in the gaming industry in terms of consoles, but in terms of like how much they're willing to spend, their shareholders and things like that, they are not anywhere near on the same level as Microsoft. So any risk for them is hurt a lot more. I mean, we've seen it in the court case. They talk about like, oh, we need Call of Duty to make sure that we can fund our first party games. We use Call of Duty's fundings and our marketing material to make sure we can get a game like God of War to be made. That's
Yeah.
gone. So they're finding different ways. It's we'll see what they end up doing, but they're gonna keep maybe trying with games like Concord, and Helldivers was a hit for them. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of like
It's fallen off a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
it,
It is.
it's kind of like, I don't know, Fuzzy, like for me, like we're about to get into the Xbox showcase, right, and talk about like everything that we saw there, but like we're kind of at this tail end now where we've seen all the showcases and stuff for summer. PlayStation had their chance, to do their thing, and overall usually this time is when like there's a lot of excitement over like some new games coming in that direction as well. But like the thing that's kind of like the most glaring for me is still like, okay, we had all this Xbox hype, we had all these showcases and all this stuff, but the general lack of excitement about what's coming for PlayStation with besides Astrobot, right? That people are excited about, that is kind of like a glaring thing that I've kind of noticed at the end of this. Like there was nothing really exciting, and the things that I think were exciting before are not hitting the same. And I'm not saying it's just because of oversaturation. I think it's just getting harder for a lot of these kind of games because there are so many of them being created to stand out, right? And to like explain why this is better, why this is different, like why you need to play this one, right? Because we can see 4 different showcases with similar genres, right? And if I saw 5 different games in the same genre that have the same setting almost, or similar setting, I'd be like, that looks awesome, I'm a fan of that, right? But then at one point I'm like, which one do I like more? Which one am I most excited for? Like why is this one better than the other one? Or like, and it starts to be harder because of the amount of games being made that are tailoring to an audience, right? To stand out amongst the crowd to generate that level of excitement. And for me, those games, the same kinds of games that we've seen several times before, were shown again. But when you have the Keeley ratings and stuff, people weren't digging it as much as they were before. So
to me, it's like so simple. Like they have so many amazing IP. Like PlayStation is just go back and think about where PlayStation was with at least the PlayStation 2, of how much games they've had, and even the PS3 if you want to go there too. But so many amazing IP, and this generation has just been remaster of God of War, of Spider-Man, so many different Spider-Mans now, and Last of Us.
yeah,
You
a
know,
lot of remasters.
constantly. So
Look at their production costs. I think that's the main thing that's kind of hurt their productivity now. I'm pretty sure it's a lot cheaper to do a remake than to do a ground up, especially after with Spider-Man was what 300 mil. And I don't know if that included the marketing aspect of it, but they're gonna have to figure out something soon. Like the funniest thing I think is the game that they were most excited about in their state of play is going to likely be a pack-in in a new piece of hardware. They'll probably be included with the PS5 Pro. Astrobot. Great. Are people going to buy it? Yeah, I'm sure the hardcore will more than likely buy it if they didn't already pick up or pre-ordered if they haven't pre-ordered it yet, but if they don't wind up pre-ordering a PS5 Pro, then they'll probably pick it up. But what I think is funny is that there's probably more excitement in the PlayStation camp for Xbox games than there is for ones that are actually on their actual roadmap. Let's just look at Sea of Thieves. Like if PlayStation doesn't get this games as a service figured out quick, like I don't think Concord's going to hit because I think it's going to be Lawbreakers Part 2 for them. Sure, it might sell a few copies on PC, but I don't think it gets anywhere near the traction. And let's be frank with it. Like I think Lawbreakers honestly looked like it was a better game at its launch
Yeah.
than what this is looking like. Because for me, Concord, the biggest thing that I noticed in that was one, okay, they're probably going to expect me to pay for something that everybody else gives away for free. Two, I was under the impression that the 5 players were playing bots because if you look at the other team, they all looked like generic characters with a gun. Like there was no tank, there was no healer. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, they have a lineup of 18 characters. Well, are you playing bots? Because what you showed me didn't impress me to show me another tank that my tank would go against or my healer would go against type of thing. So that was like a glaring misstep in my eyes. And yes, I'm not the hero shooter type of person, but that stood out to me. Like you don't have a 1-for-1 of the type of characters on either team. Seems like your game is far from ready, or maybe you don't know how to show the game in its best light. But all of that aside, that's what they're putting out, but yet Sea of Thieves is thriving. And on the tip of everybody's tongue over on the PlayStation side is, well, when does this come into PlayStation? So they're more excited over things like Doom and Call of Duty coming to their platform. So what does that tell you about their platform at that point? Like, what are they doing and when are they going to get off their butts? Like, sure, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Ghost of Tsushima 2. That should be a given. That should be a no-brainer. But then again, there should have also been a Days Gone 2, but apparently the Metacritic score was enough for them to, be risk adverse all of a sudden on that studio and what they were working on. So it's going to be interesting to see what Ben Studio is working on. And from the more recent rumors I've heard, it's a games as a service game, which, okay, are you going to turn a Days Gone into a games as a service, or is it going to be something completely different, which will probably go against what the main team that did an actual decent game over there are into? So, and let's not forget, Concord is the one that survived over Factions and over the Spider-Man one. Like, and we're already saying, I don't think this is going to hit. What the hell what was Factions looking like? Was it like stick figures or something? It can't be because it was Naughty Dog. So
apparently it was almost done.
Was that game? Or was this Bungie being Bungie and saying, you know what? We don't want anybody to outshine us. Let's kill this. Oh, they can put Concord out. And then when it flops, then, our game will, what was it? I keep on wanting to say Metaphor. It's not Metaphor. What is it? The one that they're going to make next year.
Marathon.
Marathon will shine while Concord dies. Was it like a self-sabotage type of thing, or was Factions really that bad? Was Spider-Man really that bad? And if it was, maybe they should have worked on acquisitions for people that know how to make multiplayer games. If you're going to try to convert your studios over to multiplayer and single player, it obviously isn't working. And having Bungie as an advisor when their house is burning to some extent probably isn't the best move
That point
either.
is why I said that Xbox, one of their number one acquisition targets should have been Certain Affinity, because I thought they would have been a target for Sony to do multiplayer. But go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, which Marathon is another game that seems to be chasing trends with the extraction shooter. Like, I want to like it so bad, but like when you look at Bungie's history, like Destiny is not anywhere near in the place that it needs to be. Like, I've heard good things about Final Shape, and I was actually like gifted a copy, so I'm gonna play through it. Like, I got it through a creator program, so I'm gonna play it. But if it wasn't for getting it for free, I've made peace with Destiny, a game that I absolutely love, a long time ago. Like, it's just so convoluted. Like, I literally spent an hour in the menus today. Like, I tried to sit down and pick up where I left off with Destiny, like because I'd played like an hour the other day, and I ended up having to replay the hour of the first mission of the new campaign because I couldn't figure out how to pick up where I left off, and I got lost in the menus for like an hour, and there's like just too much stuff to do, but also they vault half the content, and it's just so ridiculously convoluted. Like I think World of Warcraft was easier to pick up brand new than getting back into a game that I love. But yeah, definitely like Destiny is not in the best place, and that's probably part of the reason why they even could be acquired by Sony in the first place. And like I think that it's kind of a I don't know if they would go as it's hard to say what they would do, but I don't know if I necessarily trust them as like the premier studio that they used to be. And I'm more excited to see like the announcements from what's his name from the other day that who might be working on like the Halo reboot or whatever. What is it, Marcus Lado?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not the gold standard anymore. And like again, it's just another example of chasing trends that just aren't paying off. And it's only a matter of time. Like if PlayStation fans are more excited about the games that Microsoft is bringing to the market, like and Sony is also bringing, because we got all this flack from being like, maybe it's okay that Microsoft is bringing games day and date to PC. Like, hey, actually, we kind of like that ability to just play games where we want to play.
Fucking amazing,
yeah,
man.
and I can pay for a subscription, or I can buy a game somewhere and I can play it on all of my screens. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, if I want to sit down and play a game at my PC or at my TV, like I can just do that. Like, how long is it going to take if Sony's not bringing what they've been known for? Like, how long is it going to take before some of these gamers are like, well, I could either switch to PC, or maybe an Xbox is looking like a better option if like this is the more fleshed out ecosystem that has the games I want to play. Like it has the call, like even if they're not becoming part of Game Pass, it's like, well, the Call of Duty's there and like all these other cool games I got to try out. Like it's starting to seem like Microsoft might be onto something with their business strategy here.
Yeah, it's when people get more used to like playing these games and stuff that Xbox is going to be putting out, because some of those games are going to be really popular, and they get acclimated more to the ecosystem that they've been avoiding, and they learn the perks, right?
Mhm.
Then it's going to become more glaring what's missing from the other side.
Right.
It's going to put more pressure, right? Because ultimately, value and proposition to the consumer is going to be what speaks most. That includes quality games. You got to deliver that. But if you're bringing that, the other features that are going to be that are missing from the opposite side, it puts pressure on them to implement those things. And I think that's what's been the most glaring thing for me this generation, is the lack of people asking for this kind of stuff. And like instead just like complaining about Xbox all the damn time and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sitting there being like, look, my PlayStation's collecting dust because there's not a lot of things that I'm excited for, and I'm getting a better value, and especially with the access to the ecosystem and all that kind of stuff over on Xbox, and it has been that way for a long time. And the thing that made PlayStation special is some of those exclusive games that you felt like you had to go play. So I would have a PlayStation just to go buy those specific games, but now that roadmap is gone, right? So like they're literally not delivering anything really interesting that's in the roadmap right now that I feel like I am excited for. And as a consumer of that ecosystem, it's disappointing. And we had this whole showcase season now with the rest of the industry showing things and stuff, and like PlayStation goes by and like really literally just got a couple of platformer type games.
They're
like,
really riding on the fact that like their brand. Like they are really like, oh, people know PlayStation, they love PlayStation. Cool. That will get me to where I want to be. The fact that people love just PlayStation in general means that they can up the price of the console, that they don't have to deliver as much on games, that their services, they can change the tiers and certain things are worse, and like just things like that. I do think that I don't know what their roadmap is, because they won't show their roadmap. These past
I was gonna
few
say they have a
showcases-
roadmap.
yeah, I was about to give them some grace, but then I started thinking about it. These past few showcases, it's not just one showcase, right? It's not just this last showcase that's happened. This has been happening for a couple of years now, and I know it's been hard to see for a lot of people because Xbox has been every time they've been stepping on some rakes, right? But for a while, PlayStation has been behind on a lot of fronts, and I do wonder what they're gonna do. We do know that they have a lot of talented studios over there. Naughty Dog, Insomniac right now is carrying the heck out of PlayStation. Um, they're super talented studio, but now they are the Marvel machine, right? So all those games that they made in the past, Insomniac, they are now they're pretty much just making Marvel games from now
Yeah.
on, which I mean I love Marvel games, so kudos to them, but it just goes into that thing where they have so many IP, um so many amazing games like SOCOM, they had Killzone, they had Resistance that Insomniac
Yeah.
and stuff would make, that they're just sitting on to either chase a trend or who knows. I don't know what they're doing right now. Like their vision is not very clear to me where
Well,
they're going.
The vision now is less is more, as being
Apparently, yeah.
propaganded by the fan base. Alvin hit us with a $10 super chat. Says, as an advisor, it seems Bungie has done a terrible job, but I can confirm Bungie hasn't cooked this hard since Halo 3. Final Shape is phenomenal. Game Pass Dad is right that it's hard to jump into, though. Yeah, right on. That's been my biggest thing with Destiny, and every time I've tried to jump back into it, it's been like, what the hell do I do? Where do I go? Why am I doing this? Like, what's going on? And it's just like, where do I do first? And I don't know, so
I'm just really not sure if I want a third job right now, to be honest with you.
That's another aspect, but it's always been a great game. It's just one that's had its ups and downs with the community, so overall I think this is the send off for that, and then maybe next year we'll see Marathon, and hopefully they deliver.
Well, they also had a little rundown of like their plans for next year, though. Like they're moving on to bringing even more to Destiny. Yeah, it's not over yet.
Okay, I thought the Final Shape was supposed to be the last big thing.
I mean, it's like the wrap up of the overarching like initial like 10-year story of like the darkness and all that. Because even if I haven't played Destiny very much in the last like 5 years, like I played a bunch of Destiny, but like I still keep up with the lore videos and everything. Like pretty much, like My Name is Bife. Like I love watching his stuff. Yeah. Like because I just love the lore and the universe so much, but it's just like I can't dedicate like 20 hours every week to just one game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got another super chat here with 5 from Anonymous Boss. Says, I have the best profile pick. We are eating good over here. Buffet of games. Gears of War. Let's go. Hashtag no Diddy.
Yep.
Yeah, right on, man. Appreciate you.
It was let's go.
It kind of what I wanted to talk about this is not just to shit on PlayStation, but just kind of like we have the showcase season, and the lack of excitement over the future of PlayStation's pipeline was glaring to me now. After
I wanted to bring that stuff up too, just because like there used to be like a really good competitive nature from all 3 of these companies, and I feel like
Nintendo's absent as well, So.
I mean, but their directs people have been liking their direct. But I agree.
Yeah.
But that competitive drive, I feel like PlayStation has been kind of like riding on the coattails of the fact that their brand is so powerful that they don't have to compete as much, and it just feels more and more like relevant every single year. I think, or more and more obvious.
I think this Xbox showcase put some pressure on, because I think a lot of people took notice, right? A lot of people took notice. I saw Shuhei Yoshida congratulate the Xbox as well. Like, a lot of people took notice of this in the games media, and casual fans and everybody. Like, they had a bigger audience than ever, because you have the Blizzard fans, you have the Activision fans, the Call of Duty fans, you had people just from all different fans of different franchises. Remember, also one of the most popular things right now is Fallout, right? So you have all these people. Like, is Fallout going to be there? Like, you have all these different things now. You start to see this thing that they've been building, and Xbox has the opportunity to show up and show out, right? And to make a statement that people can no longer ignore. And that's what we said they needed to do. They needed to go out there and be completely just slap everybody in the face and say, look, everybody, like, this is what we've been doing. Like, these games have been in the works. We told you they were in the works. Here they are, and so you can stop with your insecurities over our brand and everything going forward and just embrace it, because this is going to be amazing for the community of Xbox. It's going to be amazing for gamers that decide to hop into the ecosystem, because these games are going to be here and they're going to be more accessible and better value for you as a consumer than any other platform out there as well. So check this out and stop with all this like negativity all the time about it worrisome over if we're selling enough hardware or not. Just go out there, and if you enjoy what we have to show you, then you're going to get excited. You're going to have games to play. And I feel like they showed up with that lineup, right? That was this undeniable lineup to where what we were talking about before we went live, the only people out there like, that was a really shitty show, or I didn't like that show. They're the only ones that are out there acting like that are the obvious crazy people, the obvious like toxic people that are trying to spread this kind of stuff, right? To always for engagement farming or clicks, or like you guys saw what happened with Paris Lily and Dreamcast Guy and stuff going on. And I was there with Boom when Paris Lily was on Boom's show saying fuck that guy, he's the worst. That was absolutely hilarious, dude. And but like talking about people making like fake content, just for the sake of engagement and the detriment of the Xbox brand. That, like, having a show this undeniable makes those people look fucking stupid, right? It makes them obviously what they are, because you can't go out there and see all these games and all the stuff that they had to show and like look as good as they did and go out there and be like, yeah, they got nothing. Like you just look like a fool. So this was that moment that we said they needed to go out there, lay their dick on the table, and they did. They did.
Yep. The well is starting to dry up for the grifters for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3-bit.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what do you expect out of a showcase at that point? I'm just really trying to get into that mindset, but it's hard for me to basically be like, this was like a 4. Like, how they had so, like, if you genuinely just care about the games, not the narrative of like, I don't like the Xbox brand or the fact that my exclusives are going to other places. Like, if you are specifically just going there for the games, like they had so much variety for that. That was one thing we called out in the show. Like wow, they have like a turn-based game. They have the simulated flight sim. They had like adventure, like fantasy with Avowed and Fable, of course. They've had like Gritty. They had like South of Midnight. They just had so much for so many different people, and I just can't see how you can like look at this show with like none by his eyes and be like, yeah, it was trash,
It was a statement.
I can't. It was so amazing to me, but
yeah, this show was a statement to the industry, right? They've had good shows the last couple years, but this one was so overly beyond good that you have the people that have been, concerned trolling Xbox for years, be like, this was the best showcase I've ever seen, right? And that's a mighty big jump. And that has an impact. That has an impact on the thinking going forward. It has an impact on the coverage from some of these people going forward. It has an impact on the way they talk about Xbox, like mindshare, all this kind of stuff. It has an impact, right? And this is what we've been saying that Xbox has had the opportunity to do before, but for some reason they held back, right? They were holding back. They're holding back. And this year we said there's no more excuses. We expected this to be the showcase of showcases for Xbox. We were saying this is the one to watch. This is the one that they're going to have more big stuff than they've ever had before. And we were saying no tempering expectations here, right? No clouds over our head because a game might go somewhere else or whatever, right? They're going to go out there and show the games and deliver something so undeniable that everybody has to take notice, and that's what they needed to do. This time, they delivered. They delivered upon that, but it not only delivered upon that, but it actually even exceeded our wildest expectations. Because the games that they showed, we expected to see them, right? We expected to see a lot of these. We didn't expect to see as many of the big ones that we did, right? But not only that, is they showed good gameplay from a lot of them, and they actually looked really fucking fantastic and surprising in many ways, right?
There's a time where Perfect Dark would have been the ender, the showcase ender, and that was in the middle of the show.
Yes.
Like,
so I want to go through some of these big ones, right? Like if they started the show, we were all trying to guess, Fuzz. Like we did this, like most of us thought they would start with something like Perfect Dark and end with something like Gears, right? They did end with the Gears, so we all got that somewhat right, not the Gears that we thought. But none of us actually predicted that they would lead off with Call of Duty. But that was a statement in and of itself, right?
Like, I don't even think we expected them to really show Call of Duty in the showcase. Like, we knew they had the afterwards direct or like deeper dive, but we were like, well, maybe they'll show like a like a highlight reel of all of the Call of Duties going into Game Pass or something, possibly. We never thought it would be like, all right, they're going to show their new game right at the beginning. Like, they basically bookend the show with Call of Duty in the beginning and at the end, but like, the fashion that they did, the song that they picked, that
Prodigy
start just set, it set the energy
starter
for the rest of the showcase.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But hey, I think they've been paying attention to like some of the predictions and like, we're going to throw them all a curveball because nobody, Call of Duty was not on anybody's bingo card as the start off. Nobody was saying
that was a statement too, right?
Show up.
Yeah. 100%.
That was like, this is a show that we own Call of Duty, motherfuckers.
Right.
know?
Yeah.
I liked the arguments I saw on Twitter though too, where people were just like, "How can they come out here and talk about these games like they're their games, like they built them?" And it's like, well, they didn't build them, but they sure did buy them, and they're developing them further. So that's just a fact of life, and there's nothing we can do to change it now. So as long as they're stewards of the art form and they're moving it forward and bringing it to a place where we want to play it and making it more accessible than it ever has been, which is a really good argument, because honestly, like, I'm going to play Call of Duty more than I have in the last decade because it's on Game Pass. Like, I haven't really touched many of them in the last 10 years, and now I'm actually excited to be like, hey, I can give that a shot, download it for a little bit, and if I don't like it, I don't have to play it. So like, they do own it, and more people are going to play it because of it.
That's the most like ignorant argument I ever see, because like, what do people expect them to do? Oh, we bought this now, so because we didn't do anything beforehand, we're just going to stop marketing it.
Yeah,
like,
we're just going to give up after we spent.
We can't. I feel so disingenuous about saying that this game is ours. So we just can't even market it now or talk about it going forward. Like, what? You want it to die?
Like a new car and then walk everywhere?
Yeah, like exactly.
They didn't build it. I mean, they just bought it. So like, they shouldn't use it.
You're gonna buy a house and not move in? Like, what are you doing? You know, like you own the property now. You're responsible for the success of it. Of course, you're gonna talk about it and hype it up and market it, because if you don't, you're fucking yourself over the investment and also all the employees and everything that you acquired. Like, you have to be the steward there. Like, that's such a dumbass take I see people have.
I see that a lot. I'd like to think that the casual market doesn't care that
they don't.
Like, they don't
even
rules.
fucking know, man.
Well, D's Nuts 420 on Twitter said we didn't earn it, so we better rethink our whole marketing scheme, you guys.
If you talk to somebody,
our entire business plan,
just a random person or something, and you tell them that you play video games or something, and you don't know if they're a gamer or what, their first question is usually like, "Oh, do you play Call of Duty?"
Dude,
like, that's even what they'll say. Is, "Do you play Call of Duty?" Like, yeah, sometimes. You know, I play a lot of other shit too, but like, it's just like the de facto game in people's heads. A lot of times, it's fucking COD. It's crazy,
dude. Even in spheres like in the online content creation space that I like find myself in, like sometimes I'll have videos that like go a little bit farther than just like the fanboy thing or like other streaming areas and stuff. Like a lot of these other like subsets of like the gaming community like really do not care about like the tribalism or like the fanboy arguments and like because at the end of the day it's just a plastic box and like there's so much more to gaming than just being like, oh, this sucks because of that. Like I like to point out the hypocrisy of it, but I try and leave it there and like not make it more personal because some people when you talk about all the craziness that's happening or like when the sky was falling for Xbox just a couple months ago because oh my god, multi-platform, like it's time to sell everything. Like I was explaining this to people and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because they don't care. Like no one cares. They're just like, oh, okay. Like, which at the same time, like, I don't get the argument also for like it makes perfect sense and it follows exactly what we were told when games from Bethesda and Activision, these acquired studios, like even Minecraft, like this is how Microsoft has done things. They've released games on other platforms that existed on other platforms before and I wouldn't expect it to always be exclusive and as we move forward the less it really affects us and they're showing that it's not eroding the business as much as people are thinking it's going to. It's growing the brand and growing their business and like it doesn't hurt our experience whatsoever that these other people get to play games that we enjoy also and that's a good thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, Xbox or Microsoft takes these steps sometimes where sometimes they are almost too forward thinking where people are definitely not ready for it, right? When they first announced like the Xbox One and they announced all these different features, like you'll be able to trade your games different.
That one was fairly a little bit half baked when they announced
they
it.
Didn't
like
understand
they didn't quite
how it was
have it all
going to work
figured out
themselves, which was part of the problem. They didn't know how to message it, right?
Yeah, but they do these things sometimes where people are like, well, like I specifically remember the backlash that Xbox got when
100%.
with Xbox One for sure, but when they announced that they'll put their games on PC, people were like, what? Because the mentality for so long was you put your game on said console, it stays on that console. It doesn't go anywhere else. And then you have that console war between one and the other, like Sega and PlayStation. That's how it's been. So when they broke that mold, they're like, hey, we only really have Halo, Gears, and Forza. We're starting to expand into PC. All our games going forward will be on PC. I remember that backlash that Xbox got. And it's like, they saw the market because now we see what PlayStation is trying to do. Xbox is already cemented in the PC space. Like,
well,
they can just continue to grow, of course, but they've been in the PC space since Xbox One now.
And before Xbox even.
I mean, obviously, Windows. We're on it.
They had the first console streaming service like PlayStation now also, but they're at a point where they're not innovating anymore and they're just playing catch up because they refuse to make those changes because they have such a market lead. They don't feel like they need to keep up. They think they can just keep doing their own thing, but I don't think this is going to last forever personally. But I mean, like they're probably going to be the leader for a long time, but I mean, it doesn't take much to lose quite a bit of ground. Like look at how Nintendo pivoted from like the Wii U to the Switch, and now they've sold like some of the most consoles that have ever moved for any system generation ever with a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, so Nintendo's had a lot of ups and downs, right? GameCube was disappointing for them. Wii was successful, right? Wii U was disappointing for them. Switch was successful, right?
Wildly so.
Right. And we'll see what happens now with the next Switch. I think they got something that's so unique now that they're just got their own space carved out, right? But they're gonna have more competition from all these like handheld PCs and stuff in the future now that like we'll see what those evolve into. Steam is gonna be a competitor against everybody, right? Especially they keep going with the Steam Deck. Plus they're also, if they do more in the console type space or make them more accessible for as a console,
Steam is just naturally winning.
And so it's like
the war.
I think Microsoft sees that as like, let's just get put Steam on our platform in the future, and like so that way we don't even have to worry about it. People, it'll just be like it is on PC, you know. But like ultimately, we're seeing this whole transition, and that leads us into Doom, the Dark Ages, which is multi-plat, right? Ended up, hey, it got announced. The game looks so fucking good, nobody gives a shit. It's on PlayStation, right? Like this was the thing about you have this toxic conversation for about a month and all this doom and gloom stuff, you know what I mean? About like, what's happening, what's going on. Then none of that existed for PlayStation. They go out there and put one of their franchises on the Switch. Just happened at Summer Game Fest. They didn't even have it at their own state of play. Could you imagine if Xbox announced Doom the Dark Ages at the Summer Game Fest instead of at the Xbox Game Show and then had the PlayStation logo up on the screen?
Looks like Microsoft is about to stop selling Xboxes.
Right. Could you imagine that? No, they didn't do that. They had Doom Dark Ages at their show, and they just marketed it for Xbox, right? PlayStation marketed it at Keighley's show for the Switch. Think about that. For your PlayStation fans, they had just had a state of play. They decided not to have it at their state of play. And not only that, they're fucking over the people that haven't moved over to PS5 on PS4 and not making it for that platform we can easily run on it. And you say, well, can't? Well, Switch. It can run on the Switch. It can definitely run on a PS4.
Nope, right? That thing is it's powering the PS5, so it can't
like
go on the PS4.
How many percentage of people still play on PS4 over PS5? Is like 60% or something like that.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm just saying it's a large amount of consumers. They want to, and that's not, people are saying, well, they want to force people to move over to PS5. You think Lego Horizon is going to force people to go fucking buy a PS5? Really? Like, come on, it's just dumb.
If the DLC for Forbidden West didn't do it, then I don't think this Lego game's going to do it.
Yeah.
But so, I think that's also a really just showing that their business model is becoming convoluted, and the whole like concept of like traditional consoles in itself is just becoming outdated, because it's like if you're in sales, you know that like you shouldn't be trying to force someone to do something. Like you shouldn't be forcing people into the PS5. You want to give them like valuable, like you want to demonstrate value and show them reasons why they should want to own a PS5. And they're just they're constantly like not doing that. Like they've gotten to a point where they've basically sold it all based off of like the inherent value of the brand and the promise of what's there, but they're not really delivering anything else, and they're like in that position where they're trying to force it, and it's just not, it doesn't feel like it's going to last to me.
Well, Doom the Dark Ages, like that was one that we all anticipated being there because it was part of all the leaks and stuff.
Yeah.
But none of us, I think, just expected it to look like it did and have the shit like flying on dragons, Doom mechs, right? Chainsaw shield, like just this insanity throughout the trailer. A gun where you're grinding up skulls as ammunition. Right?
Yeah.
Like this was just like,
if it had a grappling hook, I would have finished.
That made a statement right off the bat when Phil Spencer was like, I've been a fan of gaming all these years, right? And like it's crazy to sit up here and be able to announce the next one in this franchise. And he talked about in an interview with Ryan McCaffrey, like having to like break into the Microsoft offices later at night to play Doom on his PC because his home PC couldn't run it in the past, like when he was younger, right? And now, like, he gets to stand up there and announce the new Doom. And yeah, that game looked amazing, guys. It was like, I'm not as big of a Doom guy, like especially the last two iterations, because the mechanics are like felt a little too fast paced for me for a shooter. I kind of want a little bit more freedom and not the less of the constant starvation of ammunition, right? And health, but like this seemed like it's just too ultra badass. And I've got to be there right away. And it's crazy. This one will be in day one Game Pass, right?
Yeah, we don't like.
Yeah, it's got like that Duke Nukem factor.
Yeah. Does that one jump off the screen to you guys as well?
Yeah, I didn't notice the skull crushing thing till the second time I watched it. And I was like, oh. When I first watched, I think I was just too into it with you guys when we were watching it live, and I was just like what the heck, this is like medieval Doom, what the heck, it's like Hexen vibes going on, like what is happening? So I was too I don't know. I was just amazed, I guess. But what a cool way to do it. I haven't finished Eternal, so I don't know how the story
Yeah.
ended, but I thought it was a cool idea to go back. I mean, with two franchises they did this with, and I agree with both. They did it with Doom, and then they did it with Gears of War, where it's like, okay, we did
Mhm.
something cool with the story. Now let's go back. um, so with Doom, yeah, that was freaking cool. Like what a way to innovate, because you like Doom and between Doom and Doom Eternal, they were very similar, right? But
Yeah.
that's because the mechanics were so strong. Like, what do you do from there? You like make it fast paced. You introduce different little things here and there. But with this, it's like, okay, you got those mechanics. All right, now what if we added shields and sword and a parry system and freaking dragons and this
Good.
shields? Oh my gosh, dude, it's so cool, so cool. I was like nerding out about it. But
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
But you Fuzz.
For me personally, Fuzz go first, and then I'll share mine.
The biggest standout was the shield and having that where you
Yeah.
could throw it. It's chopping bodies in half and coming back and just overall, like I remember hearing the rumors that it was going to be medieval, and I was like, well, how's that really going to play when you're normally used to shooting stuff, but in the shotgun still having the skull crushing gun was awesome looking. Having a flail or whatever that spike ball thing you can smash demons with.
Yeah.
It, it's going to be a mix of everything that I would like to see in a game. Just I wouldn't say dumb fun, but like just you want to kill things. Yeah, this is going to be that game. But the shield aspect, I would have never thought that they would have something like that in a Doom game. And yeah,
Yeah.
I like that concept. I can't wait to get it in hand because I think they nailed it as far as what we didn't know we wanted but wanted kind of thing.
What
I
was your
think
thought?
I think dumb fun is fair for sure.
Yeah.
Because like literally, like that's literally the current day, just like kind of meat-headed, like all action, like all just flash and smooth gunplay game. Like I played a little bit of like what was the first? Was it Doom 2018 and then Doom Eternal? Basically, was that the
Yeah.
years that they came
Mhm.
out? Like, I played a little bit of each one, like through Game Pass when they came to Game Pass. Like I want to download Eternal again and play through it, but I really was kind of nonplussed by both of those. Like it was fun, but like nothing really pulled me through to like keep playing it to the end. But
Eternal was
when
definitely harder.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the difficulty like is certainly there, but I feel like this one just when it came on screen, like I didn't expect to just be like, holy cow, like this is something that I really really want to play. Or yeah, 2016, yeah, that was a good year for games, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, basically this one though, like just seeing, because I feel like this new one, it looks just like a culmination of everything they've learned from like the last two Doom games, and they've built up on what you already know is like a great pedigree of a game that like people enjoyed so much. But just seeing how crisp all the visuals looked, and like that first gameplay of him like just rolling through like past that big boss and like shooting people up, and then you see all like you see the shield, you see the flail, and then he fires up the mech, and then right after that he's riding a dragon, which is then baby birding flames down the gullet of a gigantic demon. Like, how could you not want to play that? So I mean, I don't know if I'll end up like if it'll end up clicking. But I was just seeing that trailer and like that starting it off was just like this is badass, and like it was a tone setter for like the entire like showcase. And um I feel like that leads to more thoughts on the showcase itself, but this is like the first Doom in a long time that I've been super excited about this early.
Yeah. It was like setting off the stage, Call of Duty and then Doom,
Mhm.
right? Two
Yep.
just massive IPs, right? And
Which
these are ours. These are Game Pass day
That's
one.
when I was saying like the show's already high for me.
yeah.
Yeah. And then they
Like,
come out with State of Decay 3.
Mhm.
And it was like what do we expect from State of Decay 3? What do we expect? Are we actually going to see a little bit of gameplay? Are we going to see just a trailer? And then they went to a couple shots that was like clear gameplay. And when they went
Yeah.
to those, it was like, oh, this is a huge step for them. Because like they had the older over the shoulder view cameras, more close up, right? More detail in the environment. And then afterwards they did a blog post finding out that the co-op or the open shared world, the Obsidian's helping with the technology they use for Grounded, and then also the Coalition, as we know, has been helping with the graphics and stuff. So like this is going to be a big leap for them. There was no year on the announcement, so we don't know when it's coming. It's probably at least 2026, I would assume. But yeah, this one stood out as well, and it was like, oh, okay, studio that I didn't have as high expectations for, but we've always been speculating, is this going to be that leap that they take? And turns out, yeah, this is going to be best looking, probably playing game they've released when it comes out.
Which I feel like that cut between like the cinematics and then also those snippets of like gameplay, I feel like that's really like a signature of how Xbox does their showcases as well, that a lot of people don't quite pick up on. Because that was like something I noticed about like the Fable reveal last year, was like they had the cinematics and then they also kind of cut to the examples of combat and like what gameplay could look like, which I mean, maybe it's not pure gameplay or like a pure like clip of all the gameplay, but I feel like those are the details from like the way Xbox like edits and intermixes their showcase that a lot of people like disregard when they see these things, and they're just like, oh, these are all just CGI trailers or whatever. But I feel like that's something they do very well, because I remember I was watching it last night and I'm just like, okay, we have like the cinematic, and then oh, this looks very much like when they're crouched at the gas station over the shoulder, like you said. It's like, oh, this is what the game looks like, and that looks really exciting, and it kind of puts you in that player perspective for a second to kind of be like, okay, I can see myself playing this game, and I feel like that just adds to the hype so much as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cinematics, and me and Matt was just talking about this yesterday. Like cinematics are now at a stage where they can now match in game. Like they are very close. Like I remember back in the day when I would watch the older E3s on G4 TV, like I would watch the Final Fantasy trailer and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, look at those graphics. We're now at a stage like that. A lot of those CG cutscenes, that we have gameplay that looks better, or if not, comparable, to a lot of those. And I remember when the first Fable trailer came out, and I've wanted to say so much, but like the one thing I did say was like, yeah, that's what the game looks like, and a lot of people believed me. There's like, yeah, whatever, it's not gonna look like that, whatever. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. And I'm glad they showed some more, because listen, this is a gorgeous game. Hellblade 2 also. I remember that was a big thing for people. Like the game's not gonna actually look like that. And it ended up looking better than what was revealed. So we're just now at a stage where these a lot of talented developers are at these studios, and they can match to what used to be like CGI, and then the game used to be completely different.
Hashtag no more Craigs.
No more. So yeah, it's super cool. So what was it, Doom, and then eventually Fable and stuff like that. So many amazing games, but State of Decay was one of those, also another game where I remember that's when I was working at Xbox, but I remember them having like State of Decay as that trailer. The initial trailer was she's in the snow and stuff, and they wanted to set that as a visual target. I'm like, okay, this is pretty much what the game is probably going to look like, especially with the help of the Coalition. It was a super talent, probably the best developer studio to work with the Unreal Engine. Like they know that engine so well that other studios, even like Epic, gets help from the Coalition. They made the engine, so there's a lot of amazing like engineers and stuff at the Coalition. But yeah, State of Decay look great. I'm really happy for that team. I know it went through a lot of changes. I believe the studio head, he left or something like that, and it went through some situations, but
You heard
it
it
looks
here
great.
first. State of Decay development is in trouble.
State of delay.
As every game always gets that
But it's always good.
that
Yeah,
tagline with it, you know. I think it showed pretty damn well, and
yeah, freaking cool.
then after that we had let's see, was after that Metal Gear, or that Metal Gear more in the middle?
That came later, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
Oh, I think it was Dragon Age.
Oh yeah, it was Dragon Age. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dragon Age.
I was like, it's alright.
Well,
You know,
it's a trailer that doesn't tell you much about the game, right?
yeah, but then
Yeah.
they showed some like gameplay. I guess it was today. It looked awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know why
they're
they
supposed to be
didn't
doing
just show
their
that
big
stuff.
their gameplay reveal tomorrow. So I don't know where that gameplay came from today, but I saw that too, right?
Yeah, it was just like a snippet or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. I've been waiting for tomorrow to find out exactly everything about this game and to see like what it's gonna be like. So, it's one that I have high expectations for because I am a Dragon Age fan. But like they haven't really been very clear and transparent up to this point about this game. So tomorrow I'm going to see this and really get an idea of everything about it and go from there.
Yep.
Because BioWare is like, I'm like Pong, like I want to believe, right, in them,
He's starting to believe.
but they've been such a shell of themselves for so long that it's hard to. The only really great thing they've done in a long time is the Mass Effect Legendary Collection, right?
Oh yeah, that was
They did amazing, like bringing those back up to life and stuff.
I don't know if that counts, but
Yeah, so
I guess.
we'll see. We'll see how Dragon Age is. I'm going to play it for sure because I'm a fan of the franchise. So then we got let's talk about Fable. If any game showed up there that had an impact for me as far as just pure holy shit, wow, it was Fable. The graphics and the detail and environment of this fantastical environment, I've never seen a game look that good in that kind of style and setting before. It was a first for me, and that was the one that had the most kind of like feelings. Like I was like Mav, what's going on inside of you right now? You shouldn't be feeling weird like this watching this trailer. I was like dumbfounded watching Fable, man. Like that one like took my breath away. I was fucking shocked. And because last year when we saw Fable, there was that little snippet and everybody was like, "Oh, that's a game. We've been watching gameplay. This is like what the actual game looks like, right?" And it was like, "Nah, it's too good to be true or whatever." And this time we saw several moments, right? Like it was clear as day that this is what the game is, and like you've been telling us through, but it's what the game looks like. And it just made that impact of like, holy shit, this game in and of itself is not just a statement for Xbox, it's a statement from Playground. Like that studio being able to move from a racing genre to creating a game that has characters. Because remember we all saw Forza Horizon. And people were all saying like, "Oh man, the Fable character's gonna look like ass because the Horizon characters look like ass for the people, like the little NPCs and stuff they have, right?" But like we see this is like
the Rockstar hands,
best looking character models we've seen in a game, plus also the environment that they're in. That was wow. Like, what was your thoughts on that one, Fuzz?
Oh, like just hearing some like what we said before, like some behind the scenes stuff, and hearing that it's going to look like amazing as far as the actual gameplay and what to expect from it. Like, yeah, they definitely delivered. And I know there was some controversy on like the main character's look and stuff like that, but I've never played Fable, and all I've ever heard about Fable is that, you know, depending on your choices, you look a certain way. You make bad choices, you start to look a little evil. Make good choices, you look like the hero type of thing. And I think some people may have like clowned the main character look before, not realizing maybe that player played it, you know, as a bad guy or made bad choices. But just the overall look of the characters in general it showed up better than I think it did the first time. And the first time it showed amazing as far as I was concerned. I think for those that were like, oh, that can't be combat and blah blah blah, I think we now got to see a good bit more of that. Um, get to see like the interactions between characters. You don't necessarily have to have like a close in shot when interacting with the townspeople and stuff. But I like how you just kind of walk up to them and whatnot. But the overall like environments, the population or the amount of people in the town,
Yeah.
the little details, grass and the leaves blowing and all that stuff, all the little details. Like we knew Playground Games was great at like what they did with the auto racing, and I know people are like, oh well, they didn't do characters all that well. Well, the whole point of Horizon is the cars. Those are the stars of the game. The environment is the star of the game. The player, you barely see them because they're inside the car, which unless you're driving a convertible and you're doing the camera look around kind of thing, you're not going to see them except for if you win the race or at the end of the race. But now with the character being front and center, being the primary thing, and the environment still being the primary thing, yeah, they knocked it out of the park. And I always thought it was going to be a 2025 game, and it looks like that's going to be the case.
Yeah, that's when we got a year
date,
on.
But man, we already know that the second half of this year is going to be pretty stacked, and it's already stacking up for 2025 as it is already. So it's going to make for an interesting early developer direct starting next year. So we'll see which ones they lead off the beginning of the year with. But yeah, Fable definitely showed up really, really well. And just like I guess there's this dynamic, and like I said, I haven't played Fable prior or any of the Fables prior. I wonder if you're going to have to fight yourself at the end, kind of thing, because it seems like, I guess if you make all the good choices, then there's going to be a evil version of you, and if you make the bad choices, there's going to be a good version of you that you're going to have to fight. Or we'll see how that pans out. But that definitely makes for an interesting dynamic for the game. So
And
can't wait to get that, give that a try.
yeah, in the past games, you usually kind of had like another character, kind of like the Pokemon games, where like they were your opposite, like your rival throughout the games, like that you would fight. So you might see something like that come back.
Yeah, they hinted towards the good and the bad decisions and all that kind of stuff, and like it really kind of having an impact, which is at the heart of what Fable was in the past. So I was super happy to hear about that and to lean into the heroes thing and stuff with Humphrey and all that. That was pretty cool. Another one that's 2025. You alluded to this. We're starting to see the 2025 lineup, South of Midnight. And if there's a game that was not what I thought it was, it's South of Midnight. Because when we saw that game, the combination of the art style plus the combat mechanics, that's that familiar kind of action game that I was talking about before. This one is different, right? Like because it's a completely different setting. It has like the traversal mechanics, all this other kind of stuff. It was like, wow, like I didn't expect Compulsion to be making this kind of game, right? And it looked like it's implementing combat that's a very popular style right now for the combat mechanics, but in this fantasy setting with like the bayou aspect to it and all that kind of, it's super original, man. I've never seen a game look like this game, right? But it's gorgeous as well. They had to do this whole stop motion thing. That one just like was like, whoa, man, Compulsion? Like really? Okay.
Yeah, it threw me for a loop too. Like just seeing that the style of the game, and we were talking about the frame rate and how cool that is, and how it's like reminiscent of maybe like Spider-Verse or the only other game I've seen where they intentionally made it almost like a stop motion thing was probably the Spider-Man. If you unlock like the Spider-Verse costume, you can like change the frame rate on the character to match the movies and things like that. Yeah, it looks super cool. I love the style. There's only a couple games where you can like visit New Orleans. Mafia was one of them, and I was getting like flashbacks to the Mafia game. I love that game, by the way. So cool to like have it really embrace the New Orleans culture, and it seems like this is doing that, but more in like a fantasy type setting. Obviously, there's no huge toads and stuff in Mafia. Um, so it was really cool that they embrace like the New Orleans type culture, but also like in a fantasy world,
Mm-hmm.
where she can like the music was cool. Like if you guys like rewatch some of these, because I probably watch it like 5 times now, the whole showcase 5 times. The music was like, I don't know, I was jamming to it. Like, wow, this is actually like really cool. So Compulsion, okay. Okay, I'm watching you, Compulsion. They only have done 3 games. This is their third game. So
Yeah.
no one, I don't think anyone was expecting them to go this route. We were expecting maybe like a We Happy Few, but like way more money budget.
This is what we wanted
So,
to see from the studios that were acquired, though. Like this
yep.
leap, because they have more ability to create their visions and to grow as a studio, and to have these
Hmm.
dream games that they always wanted to make come to life. And it seems like this is what it's more apparent after seeing this game why it's been taking them so long, right? Like this is from the ground up creating all, like they're not reusing things from a game that they just made and kind of cooking it into something else similar, and all these kind of things, and quick turnaround stuff. A lot of the reasons a lot of these games for Xbox studios have been making right now is because they've been building new tech for all of these games, and these studios have been um growing to create new assets, completely new worlds, and all this kind of stuff. And that's a bigger undertaking for a lot of companies. And seeing Compulsion like take this route and be able to create this game is like that was a statement for Compulsion also. Like I was surprised. I expected to, like, more of a linear kind of walk through the swamp and the woods and do some little combat things, and kind of just, but this was like all the traversal mechanics, the graphics, like the storytelling, yeah, everything was just coming through in full force.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I was a fan. I was a fan. It's very cool to see. Unique, not what I expected, and yep, very cool.
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead,
they
Bob.
really are building a world that not only like the traversal looks like a ton of fun like that. I mean, I don't know, I'm a sucker for grappling hooks and gliders, and they also
Yeah,
got the Spider-Man and Crackdown-esque like wind tunnel system for flying around, it seems. But they not only are they like building a world that like it seems like it's worth exploring and like an interesting like new like environment and universe to explore, but it looks like it's a lot of fun to do so. So that's what I think really makes me excited about that one, is the art style is intriguing, but also it just looks like even just getting around and exploring is a lot of fun in and of itself.
yeah, for sure, man. What about you, Fuzz?
Yeah, I just like the overall look at the game. Like this is this goes to show when they made the purchase, this was probably the thing that they had talked about and
Yeah,
showed Phil.
because he
They
was
made
hyping
that
this up for a
decision.
long
Like,
time. Yeah,
yeah, because like everybody was like, why did they purchase them? Now you know why. And like the famous words of Colin Moriarty, like, why would Microsoft purchase them? Well, you get to see now. Same thing with
yeah,
Ninja Theory. You got to see a better version of Hellblade. You get to see a better vision from Compulsion now. Like it's I love the combat aspect. I like the traversal aspect. I like the environment or the scenery that they have involved, and the fact that it's more fantasy like. So you have these creatures and boss battles and things like that. And yeah, it's. I think this is going to be like. Well, I won't say it's going to be like a cult classic, but I think this one is going to be like one of those instant classics where it's something different than what you've seen on Xbox or even other
yeah.
platforms for that matter. And I think it's going to be a solid hit.
It's crazy. Every game we've mentioned so far that we've talked through, besides Dragon Age, is for Xbox first party studio, Xbox first party game, day and date into Game Pass, right? Like Perfect
And we're
Dark.
not even like a quarter of the way through.
No, I know. I got to pick up the Perfect
Yep.
Dark. Perfect fucking Dark, man. Like there's
Yep.
another one that I expected to see here, but I didn't expect it. Like, even though we were just trying to describe it before the show, what we felt like in my mind, I was saying these words that ended up, but I couldn't mentally visualize what it would be, right? So when we see Perfect Dark, I think everybody was like, "Whoa!" what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like the Perfect Dark is like
Yeah.
it was like a mix of Deus Ex and Mirror's Edge and
Hmm.
like Dying Light and like
But it was cool because it
Alpha
was actually
Protocol and like just like all
more
these
old school than
yeah
I expected. Like more referencing the older Perfect Darks than I expected, which was like pretty cool. Like people who love the older Perfect Dark games, there's like little things in there for you. But at the same time, advancing the gameplay where you get those Mirror's Edge, like travel mechanics. There's like some cool lock-on feature. It reminded me of Splinter Cell Conviction actually when she was down and she was getting ready for the combat because the first section of Perfect Dark was just like stealth. And then the
Mhm.
second part, like, okay, well, she has to get out of there. So that's when a lot of the combat started kicking in. And it was like this lock-on thing when there's like three guards
yeah
kind of around her. It really reminded me of Splinter Cell Conviction. Super cool. I like some of the environments. It was like the fruits and stuff was flying in the air as she was shooting, which is reminiscent for me from the some of the concept art where every time we saw the concept art for Perfect Dark, she's like shooting and things are just flying in the
yeah
air. So I hope we see even more of that. Yeah, there was just a lot of little cool things in there. I started to notice because I watched it a couple times that I didn't notice the first time I watched
yeah
it. But
they
yeah,
they leaned into like the spy infiltration like aspects like with the movement and stuff how you're able to sneak into
Yeah.
areas but then also you're hey if you run into people you're plenty capable right the
Yeah. Like the
takedowns
multiple options. Yeah.
yeah the one scene where she took somebody down with her leg and was holding him
Hmm.
by her
oh yeah,
leg while she shot the other two guys and then finished off the guy that she was pinning down like these like takedown mechanics and like aspects like that of like oh shit I've never seen that before that's pretty fucking badass but then she's using gadgets recording voices to get into doorways like all these different things climbing pipes and jumping into windows like this whole blend of kind of genres it all fits the spy genre right so it's not just for like hey we're gonna mix these things just to create something like it's like it fits what they're the feeling of what it means to be that kind of character and I thought it was just fucking amazing bro like that game exceeded what I thought I would see from Perfect Dark
yep.
um I in the back of my mind I've talked about it alluded to it a couple times I know people don't necessarily agree with me but I hope after seeing this there's some kind of multiplayer add-on like component
Yeah.
to it because I
That's
imagine
what
being in the world with maps that look like that, fighting other people. I'd want to fucking do it with those gadgets. I fucking want to do it, man. It just would be a blast for
Which
me.
I feel like that's kind of the theme of this showcase for me though too is like I didn't realize like I would be like as excited for as many of these games as I am now basically.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I'm still kind of like wait and see to play them,
Hmm.
but it's like I don't even know if I have the time to like really commit to like playing through and beating all these games even at this point, but at the very least just getting a chance to like play them and enjoy them and just knowing that there's this many games that look like this already like
Yeah.
if even all of these games are just decent, like that's gonna be crazy. Like, which that's probably not the case. Like, they're probably all gonna be solid games, and some of them will probably be better than others. Like, it's insane, like the amount of games and like value that's being added to Game Pass through just like these titles that we're seeing alone in like the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, for sure, man. But what I want to do is I'm going to get to a couple more of the there's two more big first party things, right? And then I want to kind of lump some of the other things together, right?
Yep.
So we got also I mean, just you think we'd be done with first party, but we're not. Avowed showed up
Hmm.
again. So some people were saying it looked better to them. For me, it looked like the same, which is a good thing because I never had any issues with the way it looked before anyway. But they made some improvements with the hit detection and stuff like that, and that they talked about. They had another showing today. I kind of breezed through it just to kind of see some of the gameplay. It just looks like my kind of Western RPG game made by Obsidian that I've had faith in them ever since it was announced. And that I think it overall had a good showing. It added some more faith for people in this game, for people that are interested in it. I don't think it blew people that were disinterested in it socks off. I don't think it's going to make people feel like they had to play this game that didn't care about it beforehand. But overall, like for people like me and I'm like, yes, double down on this game. Avowed looks sick. I can't wait to
I
play
think
it.
there's a chance though that it could just be like above and beyond what we expect, even because Obsidian always delivers pretty solid work.
It,
Like
it
I really enjoyed Outer Wilds or Outer
yeah,
Worlds and Outer Wilds, but Outer Worlds was
yeah.
amazing
Outer
for what it
World, like
was.
I always bring up Outer Worlds because like all the conversation that's happening about Avowed with its
Yeah,
aesthetics and all this, none of that stuff existed about Outer Worlds, which had similar
right.
vibes and aesthetics, and like for some reason, because this is Xbox first party, people have this different kind of, they expect it to be like Elder Scrolls 6 or
Right.
something.
I
Whether it's
feel
like
like Obsidian always kind of delivers like like smaller, like more contained experiences, but like it's always a lot deeper with like the choices and like the morality and
yeah,
like kind of in that, like because they did KOTOR 2, like was probably the first game I played from them, but I feel like they do such a good job of like crafting those smaller experiences that maybe take about 30 to 40 hours to get through, and aren't necessarily like the forever game. And like I think that's part of the reason why I always enjoy them so much, because you get like a chance to play through them a couple of times. Or like this one really
play it through in a
seems
different
like,
way. Yeah,
yeah,
It's one of the best RPGs I've ever played, which I didn't expect to get out of just a comedy game. Obsidian, that they worked on Stick of Truth, and
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't done that one, but it seems like I need to. But I feel like in the trailer though, it kind of even revealed, at least from my watching of that portion of the show, like how it seems like there's three different story paths you can go down. Because
Mhm.
there's like the like there's three different like people talking to you through that trailer. But also just the way you can change your combat on the fly, and like this, like you have these different morality and faction choices. Like I feel like that's just going to be a lot of replayability. So even if it's not like the biggest game, like the detail that they have with like the morality choices and who you decide to align with and everything else, like if it's like a 30-40 hour game that you can play through multiple times just to get all the story, like I feel like that's going to be an amazing experience in and of itself, that I hope people don't will give it a shot, even if they don't necessarily like the art style, or like maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised by its reception, I think.
Yeah. Um, fuck, I'm super excited for it. That's this year. We got
Mhm.
it came out afterwards that they were trying to targeting like November 12th or whatever for a release date.
I want it sooner.
Yeah.
third
So,
person too. That
Give
was
it to us
surprising.
now. Oh yeah.
Flight Sim 2024 looked amazing. I still can't believe a game like that exists, is going to be comes out on consoles. They added all the job aspects to make it a little bit more gamey for like the job simulators aspects and stuff like that.
Yep.
Just look crazy. Another one though, first party wise, Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Super good
Playable
showing for it.
movie.
Yeah, that was like, what do you? Because when you weren't there with us, Fuzz. Like, do you feel like you're watching an Indiana Jones movie when you're watching that? Like,
Parts of it, yeah. It felt like a movie, like between the box thing, especially when the ship started sliding and they're fighting and all that. Yeah, that's totally a movie. And the fact that you're going to have to escape those situations and whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dialogue, they nailed the feeling of Indiana Jones.
yeah,
Like, hands down.
When she
they
when she
nailed the
hands
we got it.
over the grenade instead of the stone.
Yeah.
for me, they nailed the feeling of Indiana Jones better than the Indiana Jones movies we've gotten over the last
Yeah.
two. I like the
Yeah.
last one, but like still, like
You can tell these devs are like, your homework is these Indiana Jones movies. Don't go beyond
Yeah.
that. Just watch these. And yeah, you can definitely tell.
yeah,
So cool.
like the humor, the writing, the voice acting, the facial and not just from like not from just Troy Baker, but like from the other characters, the way the personalities, like everything, it just feels so fucking Indiana Jones, man. And like I can't believe they're able to capture that vibe so much in this game, and we keep seeing that now. This is the second time we've seen the game. First time was at the
Mhm.
Dev Direct where we really saw it shine through, and we saw it here again. Now, this one was also one we didn't get the concrete release date again, but they did double down on 2024. The rumors have been December. This could be a December game, so we'll see. But the release dates thing doesn't surprise me as much, just because like I don't think they're ready to put dates on things that are like further out in the year until they know 100% what day they're gonna do. So,
and that's a good thing. So they don't have to be like, "Oh, sorry, we're delayed."
Yeah.
I rather them, when they know, we'll know, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like if Avowed came out today, like in the conversations, like this game's pretty much done, and they're just still just adding final polishes and stuff to it. So it's still got 5 months before release. So that game should be one of the more polished Obsidian games we've ever gotten. Just like Starfield was the most polished game we've gotten from Bethesda at launch, right? So yeah, they're letting them polish these games up. Like I don't think they want another Redfall situation,
Yeah.
Hellblade 2 came out super optimized and polished. Like
what the heck? Had like no bugs.
Yeah,
no
it was like
anything.
I didn't see anybody talking about any issues whatsoever with Hellblade. I had one time when I was playing on the PC version that like it crashed, but it was just one time out of my entire playthrough, and that's probably an issue with my PC.
Yeah, I think I heard there was some PC crashing issues with some people, but still.
Yeah, AMD. It's probably everybody's probably AMD, because it might fucking AMD. Like seems like every game has issues with AMD.
Last year was like the best year for gaming as a whole for me, at least. Like that was such an amazing year of how many games was out last year. Next year, I mean, even this. I mean, this
year's been crazy
too. But next year,
yeah, South of Midnight,
it's like
Fable
looking like
already.
that again. Fable, you're gonna get South of Midnight. GTA also is supposed to come out, right?
And like imagine like
Revolution possibly.
Yeah. Like they keep up this cadence for like continually, like the year after that.
It's crazy.
Continue being nuts.
Another one this year, Age of Mythology Retold. Was shown. And that one is another one I was like, oh my god, that looks way better than I thought it would.
That looked cool. I'm not even an RTS person. I had to admit that it looked cool.
And that's coming console and PC day and date, which is great to see for any Age game now. Like if it's Age of Mythology, Age of Empires, whatever, I want to see them come to console day and date when they're released, because there's an audience that they've proven now plays these games on console. So no more excuses with staggering releases like that for PC. They're doing it with Ara. They're doing an Ara launch on PC first. I wish they were gonna wait and do both at the same time. But Age of Mythology Retold, they're doing both day and date, and I'm super happy because it's going to kind of unite that community a little bit when we all play, right? So that looks good. Any other RTS fans here that have any thoughts on Age of Mythology before we move on? Because there's still one more big first party game.
I'll just wind up giving it a try, but not the biggest RTS guy, but hey, day one in Game Pass. That's all I need to know.
It's crazy still. Like all these games, first party games, Game Pass day one. Insanity. Next one, Gears.
Even some of the third party.
Yeah, we have some surprise ones too. Gears of War E-Day to end the show. Mad World chords start happening. I'm listening. I'm like, that's the I recognize those chords. That's Mad World. Before like they even got into like the later more obvious stuff, and I was like, oh shit. But that made me think we were gonna get the Marcus Phoenix collection. That's what I thought it was, right? But then when the trailer kept going, and it's like, he's really young, Like I don't remember seeing him this young in like any of the Gears, really. Like, and then the trailer happened, and they showed the title on the screen. It said Gears of War E-Day, not just Gears E-Day, but Gears of War E-Day, which was cool to see too, because it kind of went back to that. And it was like, oh shit. But when we saw Dom like reach his hand down there and grab him, and it went there with the music, it's kind of like with familiar faces. Like that's when like that same part was playing right there. I'm like, oh fuck, this is hitting at a different level right now. And they decided not to proceed and just go ahead and make 6. right? To finish that story off, they just said they're comfortable with where it's at. They want to go and bring the story back to its origins and tell stories that hadn't been told before the first Gears game. And this looks crazy. Now, Keeley, after the fact, tried to spread misinformation about this game, saying that the trailer that we saw was pure CG, made using some Unreal Engine 5 assets, but it was a CG trailer. Then you had actual Coalition devs come out in full force saying, like, it's disingenuous. You had other developers coming out and all this other kind of stuff saying, like, this was used with all in-game assets, in-game lighting, in-game this, running in real time, using the Unreal 5 engine. It wasn't like just a, like, you know, video or whatever. But yeah, Blur helped them with it, but they worked with them on that. And like, he never issued a correction as far as I know.
I feel like
But
it's gonna get community noted.
you had
at
a
some
lot of
point.
you had a lot of actual developers that know about this stuff, not even from that team, but for other people that work on games and these trailers and stuff. Kind of put him in his place a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, like, what we saw from that trailer, that was just like a, oh shit, they're going there, right? No year, no release date, or whatever, but a great first reveal for the fucking new Gears game. And I think it brought that Gears community hype that we were missing for a while. So Gears E-Day, did it hit for you, 3-bit?
Yeah, there's only I was pretty emotional throughout the whole show, but like there was two specific moments where I'm just like, dang, I actually might cry. It was Fable, just 'cause it was really cool to see
Yeah.
some of the things I worked on in there, and then Gears, because when they start playing the Mad World sort of tune in the back, I'm like, oh, they're just showing off now. Like what in the world? Yeah, I was not expecting them to do a prequel. But everything I've been saying about the Gears franchise, where I was like, oh man, it needs to go darker. I'm not necessarily liking the newer direction where they all of the people in Gears 5 and 6, they know about the locusts and stuff, so they're creating like new weapons and figuring them out. So it's not as scary, it's not as horror based. Um yeah, they pretty much are like, okay, check, what else you guys got? And I'm like, I want to play with Marcus and uh have that relationship with like Dom again. Like that would have been so cool to revisit. Maybe I'll revisit that with the collection. So I'm like, yeah, so maybe that could be cool. They're like, oh, you want that? Okay, let's just make a whole prequel. And I was like, well, dang. The two things I was kind of worried about with the Gears franchise, they pretty much have checked. So I'm ecstatic to revisit that world again. And E-Day is such a cool time to revisit, because like Gears 1, you're pretty much, you just thrust into battle, where they always kind of hint to E-Day. I have to replay it. I don't specifically remember every detail, but I remember them just always mentioning E-Day, and when the day that all the locusts and stuff came, and the fact that they're finally going to have a younger Marcus kind of see that event happen. So cool, man. They made a really good decision here, in my opinion. I'm not super interested in Gear 6 or whatever. I guess they're on 6 now.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in Kate's story and wrapping that up. Like, it's cool, like nice, but I've always loved the original trilogy, and we're going back to that. Make it darker, bring back Marcus, who we all
Yeah.
love.
Lead into the
Amazing.
horror aspects
close.
of being like, wow, this is like, what the fuck are these things, you know, that we're having to
Yeah.
fight right now. Fuzz, excited for the Gears?
I'm excited for the fans of Gears. Like I'll admit I suck at playing Gears multiplayer. But like as someone that just knowing the scope of that series or that franchise, and knowing that they incorporated the Mad World music into this trailer, and this was like fan service 101. Like they knocked it out of the park as far as hitting all the right chords as far as what fans want out of the series. Like some people aren't as interested in the newer characters. A lot of them wish that we're hoping for like a Marcus Phoenix collection or something that incorporated the old feels that they had for the original characters. And like uh, 3 Bit said, they checked those off and made sure that they came up with a trailer that kind of shocked people in the sense of, well, is it a Marcus Phoenix? No, it doesn't look like it's like the Marcus that we remember. And you got the song. I mean, there's going to be people that will have like reaction videos, or there'll be like collections of reaction videos of people watching that trailer. And I think that's probably like the best step as far as when it comes to what they've done for the fans. That was like the best possible outcome. Just short of like Gear 6, but I think at that point that was like the better choice. Save Gear 6 for the next generation. But this would be like the perfect culmination, I would say, maybe the send off this generation, possibly. Get this maybe 2025 or possibly early 2026. Or even if it's a cross gen where it's, the send off of this gen and the launch of the next gen. I think that's, probably one of the best things that they could do for the series, considering, the time from 5 to now and whatnot. But yeah, it was an awesome trailer. Awesome to see the fans for that series happy in the fashion that, only Xbox and Coalition could do at this point. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, man. Gears, like, it's going to be such a huge deal when this game drops. It maybe, I'm guessing at the earliest 2026, right? Because we didn't get a year on it or anything, right? We got a couple of new IP surprise game announcements that nobody had ever heard of before. And I believe all 3 of these are coming to Game Pass day 1. And that was Atomfall, Wusheng Fallen Feathers, and Expedition 33. And the Expedition 33 was like the French JRPG almost. It's like
is that from Sandfall?
Yeah, it's from Sandfall Interactive. It's a new studio.
No one cared who I was until they realized I was turn-based.
Exactly. Well, we were like looking at this game and like, what is this? Because at first we're like, is it 33 Immortals? Because it had like 33 on it, and it was just maybe thought it was a pretty CG trailer for it or something. But like, it kept going to like, this is like actual in-game. Like, this is in-game like footage and in-game cinematics and stuff, and like, and then they went into the gameplay and it was like this JRPG style like turn-based combat. Like, holy fucking hell, it looked like an evolution of like Lost Odyssey to me, with the style, with the way that it was playing out. And that game, for me, out of those 3, that's the one that stood out the most to me. Expedition 33. So but I want to know which one of these 3 does it most for you guys. Like, is it Atomfall? Which was the Rebellion one, which was a surprise for them because we're used to seeing like Zombie Army or like Sniper, Elite from them, but now we see this. I don't know if it's open world or what, but this kind of like Fallout-y-esque open world.
That kind of gave me
style shooter
Atomic
thing.
Heart vibes.
Yeah.
Too.
It's called Atomfall. It had the music, like the kind of like Soviet Union era like music kind of playing in the background. But you had the gameplay. Like, Rebellion's usually has really solid gameplay and gunplay and stuff in their games, but I haven't seen a game like this from them before.
Yeah, it reminded me of a little bit of Stalker for some reason, which also showed up in the showcase.
Well, Stalker was like not a first party, but we finally got a release date for that as well. It's in September. Right?
Oh yeah, because you were going to the first party.
Yeah,
those look great.
Also Game Pass.
Yeah, fucking crazy. So for you, Bob, which one does it more for you? Fallen Feathers, Atomfall, or Expedition 33?
I mean, I feel like I don't know, Expedition 40 or 33 is probably my least, my lowest point of the showcase, but it looked nice, but I'm not a big turn-based person. So I mean, Atomfall probably checks most of the boxes, but I mean, compared to like the first party stuff, I don't know if necessarily I'll dip my toes into any of those per se, but I think Atomfall probably is the most interesting because it did have like that like alternative universe, like World War II robots and possibly mechs, with also like strange caves with like radioactive crystals and creatures in it.
Yeah.
So like I could definitely see where it has like the um I don't know, Fuzzier 3-bit said that it kind of had the stalker vibes to it, but I could definitely see that. But I feel like that would probably be the like what I would most likely check out of the three.
Right on. What about you, Fuzz?
For me, well, as far as the third party stuff, I'm Flintlock did the best showing for me.
That was the best. Okay, out of the
There's
edited trailers, right?
there's also a demo on Steam.
just the editing of a trailer, right? Just putting a trailer together, editing wise, like that was the best trailer, I think. I'm not gonna talk about the best cinematics or the best whatever, but the way they like edited together that trailer with the music and like the giant fonts that they had pop up with the combat, like with the like everything about that trailer was just badass. So I loved
the
the
opera
Flintlock
chorus.
trailer. Yeah, it was amazing.
But aside from that, I mean, Expedition 33 showed up really well. It may not be the exact game for me with it being turn based and almost like a rhythm game, but like I'm interested to see how that combo plays out because visually it looks amazing. Same can be said for Wu Chang. That was another good looking one, but you know, for the fact that I'm more of a 80s kid kind of thing, mixtape.
Yeah,
Mixtape is up there as well. So
that was the Annapurna game.
Yeah, I there really wasn't a low point for this showcase for me. Like even well, like probably the lowest point for me would be Frag Punk because I'm not really the arena hero shooter kind of player. Mecha Break showed up great as well, but for me, the standouts that were third party, Flintlock, that was definitely it. And one Stalker 2, like those two head above the class, and then totally unexpected surprise by Expedition 33. Those would be my top three for third party stuff. But there were some other good ones in there, like Life is Strange's story is interesting as well. Yeah, Wu Chang. That it's almost like we have our own Stellar Blade now. Well, I don't know if it's exclusive, but it's just a cool looking like Souls like.
That's what I was talking about. That genre. Like, if I saw this next to like some of the other ones, I would have trouble remembering exactly. Like, if you show me the trailer for like all these games, I'm trying to remember which game was which name would be hard for me sometimes, right? But it's not just a me problem, right? Because there's so many games going this route now because it's a very popular genre and aesthetic and style, which is awesome, right? But like for me, it's like that one or Phantom Blade Zero or Relic, the First Guardian, which was another one, or Stellar Blade just came out. You know, we have Black Myth Wukong. You know, like there's like several, and there's more, right, that I haven't even just mentioned because we got even more at Keeley's show, and I'm not saying it's an issue, right? Because I know this is like an ultra popular genre and brand and style and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just for me personally, it's hard to remember because of the saturation of this kind of genre now and style, like which game is which.
Unless you're the From software.
Yeah, and I'm less interested in general in this genre, so like it takes one of them like to like stand out, especially for me to like make me remember that one, you know? So I want to know like more about this game, about like what makes this different than the other games that look a little bit similar, right? But Fallen Feathers still had an amazing trailer, and it showed up really well, and that's a game that I think is going to probably do great. Like Lies of P, another one, but that one had the differentiator because it was in a different setting more so. You know what I mean? It's like based on Pinocchio, so it's easy to establish and remember the differences about the differentiator in that one. So like Wu Shang Fallen Feathers and these other ones like what's different about it, and I have to learn more about it. And it's their job to get me interested into that and to like explain why I should be interested in this one as opposed to the others, right? But like I think this trailer is a good start because it's a brand new reveal for this IP, and I'm intrigued. I got the Stellar Blade vibes too when I saw it, like you said. But 3-bit, which one out of those does it for you?
When I go out and say actually 33. What was it called? 33
Expedition 33. I have the same problem. I can
Expedition.
never remember the word that goes along with it.
I
It's
want to see
Expedition
33 Immortals. Like, but yeah.
Yeah.
That Assassin's Creed actually Shadows showed up here, and it just showed you like their relationship with Ubisoft is very, very good. Um and also the other one, I did like Adam Fall, but I'm really stoked for Stalker 2. Just how that showed up here, like it showed really well in other trailers, like especially they had like one trailer where you got to really see some of the characters' faces and stuff like that. But for some reason, like something with this trailer, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. I've always loved the Stalker universe, the first one, Metro as well. I love all the Metro games. I beat all of them, so I'm pretty hyped for Stalker 2. I'm finally like on that hype train. I was kind of on it before, but now I'm really on. So those games for sure. Adam Fall was just a surprise for me. Like I was like, what the heck is this game? And just aesthetically, it was just interesting. It had all these different like Game Pass dad was mentioning, like all these sort of different things it's kind of grabbing from. It kind of reminds me of like BioShock or something like that, where it likes to get things from other genres and it puts it all together. And you're like, what the heck? That's supposed to go together? Like, okay. Had like the fantasy vibes in there and some Falloutness, and like the 1950s and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
super cool. Loved it.
Other just quickly, other random stuff we got: Fragpunk, Mecha Break.
Oh,
We
Mecha Break looked cool.
Yeah, it
That
looked awesome.
I'd never heard of that game.
Mixtape was the 80s, early 90s style.
Yeah, the
Like
Annapurna game.
yeah, it looked fucking fantastic. Showed my daughter a trailer for that one after. Shattered Space from Starfield, plus the surprise of the add-on content and available content. Yes, at at the time of the show. Flintlock, amazing, like we said. Assassin's Creed Shadows showed up, so the Xbox has not only marketing on Starfield Outlaws, but they have marketing rights on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Pretty big deal, right? Stalker 2, like I said, got the release date. We got the CG trailer for Vessel of Hatred from Diablo 4, which was unbelievable, absolutely insanely good. There was another indie game, Winter Burrow, which was a little mouse game and stuff. Did I say Metal Gear? Metal Gear showed up and looked amazing. Fucking looked so good. And then Dragon Age Veilguard. I think that's Life is Strange had a great trailer.
Dude, there's too many freaking games. Like just us just talking about it, I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot that was there. Oh yeah, I forgot. It was
like
just so many amazing.
It was like 30 total, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness. And they were all, it was like quality. It wasn't just like it wasn't like a bunch of throwaways where you're like, oh,
Right.
I don't care about like 5 of these games, and then like, oh, I care about this one. And then you're like, oh, I don't care about these. It was just like game after game.
There was less indie stuff than is usually there. There was not a big Eastern presence. Like the only real like Eastern game was the Wuxing Fallen Feathers, but like I don't know who the developer is on that, so I don't even know if it's for sure like from the East or if it's just that style.
It'd be like 2 indie games.
But like, so this is setting the stage like for Tokyo Game Show for them to do a lot there, right? This is setting the stage for them to have another like indie show that's focused more on indie games, right? Because there was only a couple indie games that really showed up here. And this showcase with what was not here led me to know that there's going to be more stuff for them to show. So as crazy as this is, they're not done. Because usually there's like more indie stuff here. Usually there's more. The last couple shows that had a bigger Eastern influence as well. Like they are holding stuff back, as you mentioned before. But the rumors were that they trimmed this down significantly for other shows this year. So I expect something at Gamescom. I expect something at Tokyo Game Show. We still have games that are releasing this year that they didn't even show at this showcase. Towerborn and Ara that weren't here.
Towerborn, right? Contraband, there's a lot. Jez actually made a post not that long ago. I retweeted it. He said 37 minutes ago, he tweeted, the crazy thing about the Xbox showcase is that's only part of what's coming.
Yeah, for sure. And the ABK Game Pass stuff, right? That Nate Dogg, like we should be getting that stuff at some point too, right? And we all expected that to be here. They have the ability to just dominate the news cycle the second half of this year, not only with more gaming stuff, but also like drops for Game Pass, and then also new games. Like, so they have the potential showcases or dev directs, Game Pass stuff with back.
He used the option of like knowing when to make these now. Like so many games now where he can just sit in his chair like, should we announce this now or later? Yeah. That's how I picture him making decisions. Like, I suppose we can do it now.
Matt Booty wants to show you all the things.
Yeah.
I mean, the Game Awards, right? They could save for that. Like certain games that we thought that might have been here. Like, oh wow, I'm surprised that wasn't here. Save it for the Game Awards.
QuakeCon, we're probably going to see some stuff from Doom Dark Ages there. We'll have Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, and then the Game Awards. Still other big show possibilities this year for stuff. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But that was a hell of a show. I got 3-bit score. You gave it a 10 out of 10, right? 3-bit. Yeah, I gave it a 10. Bob, watching it back, like, what would you rate the Xbox showcase?
I mean, it's the best one that we've had in a long time, if not ever. So I would say it has to be a 9.5 or a 10. I would almost just say a 9.5 to leave room to be amazed by something else. Right. I mean, all things said and done, like, I mean, just sitting there, like, watching through it, because I was watching through it and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just skip through the stuff that I'm not as interested in because I didn't get to watch it all live, so I streamed it last night, my reaction, and I did not skip through very many parts of it. Like, there's so many like, just the games that I was interested in alone was like Black Ops, Dragon Age, Doom, like the Fallout updates, Starfield updates, State of Decay 3, Diablo, Fable, South of Midnight.
To skip, and then it was over.
Yeah, like Snake Eater, like just all the things we talked about. Like, it was just so dense with like details, and I think I'd like more or less like overall like a point that I would like to make about like this showcase as compared to showcases we've had in the past, and like the momentum that I feel that Xbox is really building as a brand. That, I mean, they need to get out there and they need to find the right way to push the message of like what it is they have in a way that resonates with gamers and gets them excited about this as we are, because I feel like all of us have seen this building, and like, again, like as long as they deliver on even half of what they promised, or these things show up and are decent, then I'm sure we're all going to be happy and it's going to advertise itself. But this is like the last couple of years, like, we aren't just getting updates on like Sea of Thieves, Forza, Halo, like the games that we knew about, Minecraft. Like, we're getting all these different, like, varied, like diverse lineups of games that are coming out this year and next year, and in the future, even at this point. Like, we're not, because I feel like in 2020, 2021, 2022, like, we're just getting updates on things we already knew about, and it's just like, yeah, that was cool, but I feel a little bit let down. Like, there's nothing, like, after this showcase, I'm left with nothing but excitement for what is to come and just looking forward to enjoying and experiencing all of these games, and just kind of left in awe that they really were able to show that many games in like that short of a time period. And I feel like they really sent a message with this, because it's not more of the same. There was a lot of stuff that we didn't expect, because like we had the Gears of War, like the Stalker update like being released this year, like we never knew when we were going to see that necessarily. Perfect Dark was like kind of a big surprise, like seeing South of Midnight, Fable, like Doom, like all of those things were like surprising to
I
me.
want to play a Call of
Those,
Duty again. Like,
yeah, even
wow.
Call of Duty was exciting. Even like the innovations for like movement and stuff in Call of Duty were pretty big too. But like those games in and of itself, or even like 4 of those games in and of itself, could make a showcase. And we've got so much more than that. Like I feel like we have like 2 or 3 showcases worth of games here, and it's just an exciting time to be part of the gaming community. And I feel like I feel like Xbox is showing that they're in a pretty good place right now if they can deliver on all these things.
Yeah, for sure, man. Fuzzy, I see you spoiled your score in the chat, but what do you give it?
I gave it a 10 stars, 10 out of 10. I wouldn't even say it's a critique, but the only critique was like not like actual dates on some things, but
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, like I tried to put this in the same comparison on how I gave like the state of play. Like part of the score was like a 4 and the other part was a 7. Like for the games, theirs was a 7. But if you were not a PlayStation person and they're trying to convince you to be a PlayStation person, it was only a 4. Xbox did the best of both jobs. Like if you're already an Xbox guy or gal, you already see what's in the near future, the very near future. And if you're not an Xbox player currently, you have something to look forward to. You have plenty of stuff to look forward to, so much so that all you need is this platform and the subscription, and you're golden. You don't have to worry about anything else. Basically, everything else that you could possibly find anywhere else is here in the subscription. And yeah, there are certain exceptions, but those exceptions are like few and far between, and most of them aren't landing with the audience that they have. So I would say Xbox knocked it out of the park. 10 out of 10. If you don't have an Xbox, what are you doing? Type of thing.
Yeah.
That's basically what that showcase was.
Putting the industry on notice, man. That's what it was for me. Is kind of just like a obvious like, bam, hey everybody, shut the fuck up. Like this, you're gonna talk shit now. You're gonna be concerned now. You like really like with all of this, and it wasn't just about the fact that they had the games to show, but it was about how they looked, right? And there wasn't these like moments of like, ooh, what is that? Like, there's none of that here. It was all like, oh wow, I'm surprising in a good way, and that's what they needed to deliver. Plus, if you have a showcase where you have new game announcements, right? You have updates on existing games with surprising, amazing reveals of showing us something that looks really positive, that gets you interested. And then you have content for this year. You're announcing content for the next year, right? Then you have big third-party support too. Like it just checks every box that you would want in a great showcase, and they delivered it in a huge way with first party, right? Showing the strength of their own studios, and that was what really stood out. They didn't have to have a bunch of third party support. They had some big ones. They had a couple of big ones here, but like they were able to stand on their own. Like this is Xbox. Like, and all this conversation we had, we barely even mentioned Call of Duty.
Yep.
Which they had a whole direct afterwards that just blew the Call of Duty fans away too. Like the Call of Duty community is very positive about the way they showed that. So.
Yeah, the media aspect is honestly, we could have a whole other podcast about it, and like their sentiment for Xbox and how they usually spin stuff. Like Xbox did this cool thing, but what does this mean for the future? Sort of sort of articles that they usually do. Something with this showcase, it's just like after we got the Summer Games Fest and the PlayStation Showcase, it's just like, really, this is what we're doing now for showcase. Like, cool games, like some of them like indie games, smaller games, etc. But like that mentality again, I mention it again just because that competitive mentality that PlayStation used to have with Xbox and them trying to outcompete each other with like different shows and making sure they had like I remember one year Sony just had a ton of games at their E3, and it was just like amazing. So that mentality is starting to ripple through with the media. I seen Jasper earlier on. He was mentioning how he had some people was like, it was alright still. That PlayStation bias, that PlayStation mentality is still pretty strong within the mindsets of people because again, the PlayStation there's more PlayStation fans than Xbox fans. Like I mentioned this several times, but it's that's the case. There's more people who are on PlayStation than on Xbox. So you're gonna have to shift some mindsets there. You're gonna have to do certain things to get people to want to invest. And I feel like Xbox did that here. So I'm just wondering, with the media mentality, what like they are pretty much praising this show, which is I wasn't expecting. I was expecting a lot more like it was really good, but what does this mean? But surprisingly, yes, those exist. Those articles, of course, are going to exist. But yeah, people are just like outwardly just like, yeah, those games look freaking cool. Which it should be that way. If there are a lot of good games there, then praise the show. Yeah, that's pretty much what we've been wanting for Nintendo, for PlayStation, and for Xbox. This is kind of a good layout for a showcase. Like this is how it should be done. Like you lay your first party in there, people the games that people expect, like your Gears of War, you got your fan favorites in there, and then you got new stuff. I think that's what
Yeah.
people want out of a PlayStation showcase. They want like a freaking SOCOM to come out of nowhere. They want a Killzone to come back and just be like, bam, we got the next Killzone and things like that. So we don't want Sony to be comfortable. We want them to compete on that level, and Xbox absolutely murdered this show. It is freaking
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, it's going to be 10 for me. I've watched it several times now, and it continues to climb because I'm just like, what the heck? I just get overwhelmed.
Yeah. And there's so
it's
much
great.
that they didn't even show us. That it's like that.
Yeah,
like,
that too.
God, it's crazy. All right. Well, geez, guys, we're already like almost 3 hours in. Like we're still supposed to do tidbits. Is there what did we actually release this week?
I didn't even do those
yeah.
tidbits thing.
V Rising, okay.
Yeah, it's like a handful of games.
Okay, how about this? Like, save for sake of time, since we went long. We're just gonna read these games off. This will be like a little truncated version of tidbits, everybody. So tidbits this week, we have game releases. This is where we usually show the trailers on everything. But we do have about 5 or 6 notable releases. First off, Rocket Knight Adventures Resparked for the PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC, coming out on the 11th for $25.49. V Rising, which is one I'm actually interested in. I haven't played yet on PC, but I'm thinking about if I'm going to get on PS5 or PC. For $40, it releases tomorrow on the 11th. Taskmaster VR for the Quest 2 or 3 on PC. That is Thursday, $21.99. I don't know what that is, and I frankly don't give a shit.
It's almost like a job simulator kind of thing, or at least that's what it looked like.
Job simulator type thing. All right.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Stories on PS4, Switch, and PC is releasing for $30 on the 14th. That's on Friday. It's another Monster Hunter thing. And then Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin for PS4. Friday, also the 14th for $40. I'm guessing, like, what's the deal? Like, Monster Hunter Stories already come out. Is that a like revival of something? Like,
yeah, they had them on like the Nintendo DS or something like that.
Okay.
So And I think it was the other one was already on Switch earlier in the year or something.
Okay, right on. And then last but not least, this is probably the biggest one for this week. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance for PS4, PS5, Xbox One X and S, Switch, and PC on Friday for $60. So Shin Megami Tensei fans,
put a game on the PS4 and the PS5 at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, there's still it's like a 50-50 or 60-40 split on PS4 and PS5, so they gotta get that money.
Yeah.
You think Sony would get that too, but I guess.
Yeah, it was a strange thing, but anyway, like everybody, this has been awesome. I want to thank everybody for tuning into this show. Again, like it was glaring for me watching back, seeing how big Xbox made a presence, the feeling more of the void from PlayStation than we've ever felt before. Like that was kind of like my feelings leading into this show, and like I don't want that. I want PlayStation to come out here and have a big presence in the summer, like they used to. I like that competition. Could you imagine if PlayStation delivered a killer show and then Xbox delivered a killer show? Oh fuck, that would have been amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's just missing now, man. Like where is it? Come back, PlayStation. I want that as a consumer, and but thank goodness for Xbox delivering, because wow, this would have been a horrible summer showcase season without that Xbox showcase delivering like it
Right.
did.
Yeah.
But hey, let's get everybody out of here. 3-Bit, tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Everyone can find me on Twitter at i3bit. It's been a busy week, but Pixelated Echoes makes its return on Sunday with me and Fuzzy Belvedere. We usually get some good guests around, some great topics. We be talking about it, breezing through it, just hearing our thoughts. We're probably going to be talking about this and whatever else comes our way by Sunday. We know there's a couple little showcases here and there that's popping in and out between now and then, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, you guys can find me right here on FSP every Monday. Amazing time to game, y'all. Amazing time to be a gamer. What a what a showcase. Makes me really excited overall that a lot of those are coming into Game Pass, and yeah. So excited to talk about it with you all in the next coming weeks. That I'm sure we're going to be talking about this showcase for a long time. Like this was the moment,
yeah.
Right? So, but love y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Right on. Thanks, 3-Bit. Fuzzy Belvedere, what about you, sir?
As always awesome being on here with you guys. Great to be back here on the Fun Speculation Families podcast. Sorry I've been away this weekend, having fun with the wife, going to some shows and stuff, but for this showcase season, amazing. What we wanted to see were games, and we definitely got that from the Xbox showcase. Ubisoft did a decent show. Summer Games Fest just kind of missed it this year, but Xbox made it up for more than enough of the other showcases out there. But those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_belvedere. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday morning on Double Barrel Gaming. And then later that same evening on Xbox Ultimate right here on this channel. Hope to see everybody in the chat there as well at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Sunday, like 3-Bit said, Pixelated Echoes around 8:30 p.m. on Sunday. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Right on, Fuzz. And Game Pass Dad, Bob, what about you, bro?
Yeah, thank you again, everyone, for having me and being here while we discussed how Xbox is hitting Mach 10.10 with the showcase for the summer. At the very least, Xbox is on top showcase season. Summer showcases here in 2024. Super excited. Glad I got an outlet to come be excited with you guys and chat it up. You guys can find me here Mondays and Fridays whenever I can make it. You can follow me on Twitter under Game Pass Dad, or also on Twitch. I usually stream Wednesdays and weekends, and I'll post on Twitter when I am streaming because I'm streaming less these days. But aside from that, if you do like my points of view or my sense of humor, please check out my YouTube. I post videos, and I'm trying to formulate ways to make more gaming content and opinion pieces. So looking forward to doing more of that in the second half of this year. But again, thank you guys so much. Always a pleasure. And maybe I'll finally find my way onto Pixelated Echoes one of these Sundays here too. I'll have to hit
Come
you
on
guys
back.
up about that.
Yeah, right on. Man.
Yeah, thank you, Mav and Fuzzy and 3-Bit. Always a pleasure.
A couple things I missed. Victor Alstein with the $2 said, "I want that Fable engine as the standard. Just wow." Yeah, that's Forza Tech that been converted kind of a little bit into operating their own thing, and I've been calling it Fable Tech. I think that's what they call it too, but 3-Bit won't tell me. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, it's kind of a hybrid of Forza Tech that they've been working on. And like absolutely mind blowing what they've been able to do with that engine. Also, earlier, I don't know if these happened before we went live, but I went back and looked. And God Emperor Sofa King became the speculator. MASH became a speculator. Spider-Man 356 became a speculator. Dr. Dinglenut became a speculator. It's showing up here on that section, so I apologize if I missed that or whatever, guys. But choo choo, motherfuckers, or choo choo. We could do it that way too. You guys are absolutely fucking amazing. I appreciate all the support for everything we do. You won't see me streaming for the next couple days because I'm taking a fucking break. Been streaming a lot the last couple days.
Well deserved.
Thursday we'll be live again for PM in the PM, 7 p.m. Eastern time with Pong Soul and I. But yeah, we'll be check out on Twitter. Maybe if something crazy happens, who knows? May see me show back up. But thank you everybody again for all watching over the showcase season. And it's going to be still. It's not over really yet. They're still updating games. Xbox podcast is going on with they're updating on and more in-depth looks throughout the week and stuff like that as well. So stay tuned because there's going to be lots to talk about in the next coming months with Xbox and gaming in general. So cross my fingers for an actual PlayStation showcase announcement at some point. Hopefully it happens, but we'll see. But I hope you all have a good one. Peace out, everybody. Take it easy and good night.
Bye, y'all.